All right. While those two are inside of O'Malley Real Estate, they hear a vehicle pull up, and checking outside, they'll see that it's Joseph's van.
Back from the dead.
Well, this one's the old van as opposed to the new and used black one.
Right.
Yeah, Joseph has arrived. I put an extra token on the map. Woohoo!
Right, well, I guess I'll greet him. Just be like, good evening.
So, what are you doing? Staring at that computer.
Trying to figure this infernal contraption out.
I think we've turned it on. It beeped, and I think some word in there. But beyond that, how do you make it go?
I love it.
How do you turn on the internet?
Well, Joseph does have a point of computer, so he's not completely incompetent.
He can certainly operate these things, yes.
I'm not very good at it, but what exactly were you guys trying to do? And I'll take their place and sit down.
We were looking for information on the Metro Cab Company to see if anything popped up on the internet. I don't even know if they would know enough to consult the computer to begin with, but let's just assume that maybe they've heard newfangled ideas such as this.
Oh, I'm sure that we've heard people talk about looking things up on the internet.
Rumors
Have
about
no
this
clue how to turn on the internet and find its index, but...
So Joseph will do the best he can to look at that information.
Okay. While Joseph is taking the time to do that, Marcus, you've arrived at the Public School 1 Contemporary Art Center. There's actually no event that has currently been scheduled for the evening. The place is actually closed up.
Well, shit. I guess I'll make my way back to the real estate company.
Okay, Joseph, of course, all of your characters will know it's search engines and finding information and sifting through the internet. The internet was not as vast in 1998 as it is now in 2013. Al Gore hadn't worked out all the kinks. Nevertheless, cursory internet searching. Go ahead and give me a well, you can pick whichever mental attribute you would like to use here: perception, intelligence, or wits plus computer.
Perception.
Okay. And that was at a difficulty of 6, so you got a success there with the one canceling out another one. Cursory information, Metro Cab is a relatively recent establishment here that's set up in New York City, devoted to basically providing quick and reliable cab service. And there's certainly been very few complaints about the service they provide. Certainly the times that Byron and Marcus have taken the Metro Cab, the cabs have been clean, they've arrived quickly and efficiently, better so than most other cab trips they may have experienced. Those two characters, speaking from experience, the times they've rode during the story, haven't been a problem at all. Of course, Marcus will recall whenever he took the cab to head from the Middleman back to Astoria, and Marcus and Byron will recall the time they took the cab heading from the Muncie Hudson Expediting Storage Company up in the Bronx back to Astoria. As for other information, they have cab garages operating in all 5 boroughs, including Staten Island. Servicing the greater metropolitan area that is New York City.
Is there, Byron's going to ask, is there anything about a home office in there? Any location or number to call or something like that?
There's the same number that's basically provided on the billboards for you to call if you're interested in getting in contact with a cab. Office itself is located, well, of course there's offices encompassing as a part of each garage. There's a bigger office, though, in Manhattan, because that's where all of the business and financial things happen for people.
Right.
We'll say the current head manager and owner of the Metro Cab is a gentleman by the name of Tom Danzig.
Interesting. Can we look up that guy? I don't think the internet's going to have much hits on that, but he'll ask. He doesn't know.
What would Joseph like to do?
Well, I mean, there's no harm in looking it up.
Yeah, there's no information about him. There's no need for a roll. There's not.
Yeah. It doesn't look like there's very much. Perhaps Evelyn or one of our contacts would probably be more informed. I'm not exactly the expert at doing these kinds of things.
Yeah, maybe we should call up the police contact. I'm blocking on his name. Maybe he knows something about the company. Probably not, but maybe the man he knows something about.
Newspaper? No, probably not.
So you have Ken Reese, the police contact, Bridget Starr, who operates a little, is part of a little newspaper that's here in Astoria that handles like local and cultural events. And of course you have Madge. Marcus, you've arrived at O'Malley Real Estate. Checking the street, you can see Jermaine's vehicle as well as the van that Joseph, used to drive before he got that fancy nondescript black one.
Do I see anything else on the street?
Well, there's you, and there's, well, how about go ahead and make a Perception plus Alertness difficulty 6.
Actually, just as a small thing, that would actually be a sedan. Four-door.
Ah, yes. My apologies. Forgot it was a Sudan.
Is this visual?
Yeah, sure. So difficulty 4 for you. 4 successes. I thought you had more dice for Perception plus Alertness.
Don't you remember the jokes from the first session?
That's the thing. My character, the most perceptive one. I roll 4 dice.
He has powers and merits that affect perception. He did not invest points in the perception skills.
Indeed.
I have made many mistakes in character creation. I'm rolling with it.
Speaking of rolling with let me check something just to make sure. Oh. Oh, wow. That's a botch. So, block or 2 down. Street's not too dark. Looking at maybe 10:15, 10:20 p.m. It appears that they, in their overconfidence, they might have made a gaffe, or perhaps they were just so excited by the fact that they found you again because there was a vehicle they recognized rather than the nondescript black van that Joseph drove around in yesterday. It's now Joseph's sedan, which they actually knew. It's a navy blue sedan. Parked by the curb of the road about a block and a half, 2 blocks down, right below a lamppost. And yet it's hard for you to see inside.
Marcus is going to act like he hasn't noticed this and just calmly walk into the building.
All right, the three of you, Byron and Jermaine, are currently hunched over this devil machine as Joseph is explaining its nuances.
Stop what you're doing.
Deal.
They look up. All right, Byron looks up. I'm not going to speak for Joseph.
Hey, you remember our friends from about a week ago?
Couldn't forget.
They're back.
How
Byron
exactly?
resists the urge to go look for himself, but he
They're
just,
they're down a block, and they decided to park their navy blue sedan underneath a lamppost because of reasons.
Well then, there's a number of ways we can handle this, whichever way we need to do it quickly. I have an idea. If one of us gets in the car, we can perhaps just run straight into them, and the rest of you can come running out and slaughter them. Leave one or so alive, or as much as we can, unconscious preferably, and then we can deal with it from there.
the other way, Byron has actually been thinking about it for the last week. And he says, well, if we can get a car, like for instance, Jermaine's car, to just go park next to them and box them in, Byron can walk up and just command the driver out to get out of the car, and they won't be getting away that way. They'll, if they want to attack us in broad daylight, or
Broad daylight!
yeah.
If
Well,
they
I'll
want to
deal
attack
with
us
it.
in
Here's what
broad
I mean.
daylight, if they want to attack us in broad daylight, we're fucked.
Well, Jermaine wouldn't be. He could, clean up, but yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'd be
Well-
doing just great in broad
Well,
daylight.
that would be that's actually a good idea. Jermaine, you drive. We'll all get in the car. We'll act as though we're driving off, and park one car on one side, park the other car on the other side, straight to the bumpers, then get out there and start blasting away.
I like the idea, but I think that someone should be covering us using the rifle I've got in the trunk. Who here is the best shot?
Do we want to be pulling out rifle? Might that get them curious as to what's happening and perhaps a little too aware?
There's a duffel bag back there.
True, but
That is.
I am probably the best shot out of anyone here.
I want all of you, this is not a vision-based, one. I want you all to make Perception plus Alertness at difficulty 9. Not visual.
Nope.
I got one success.
You did it? A difficulty of 9?
I think I got a 10. No, I'm scrolling back now. Oh,
No.
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 Joseph
you-
botched.
Sorry. Yeah, I was looking at the 1d10.
No successes.
Beautiful.
Okay, so yeah. Cripson got none, for Byron, Marcus got none, Jermaine got none, and Joseph botched. Okay, continue with your plan.
Well, then do you want to go?
We have to do something now, soon, because they saw me enter here probably, so that means they're gonna know something's going on.
Do we want to send Jermaine out the back to circle around? Because we don't know if they even, they might not have seen him come in. He's been here since evening, dusk or whatever.
It's true, I've been here since before sunset. I can head around to an alleyway. One of you can head out front to try and bring the rifle inside and get a perch up on the second floor of the roof.
Too much time. We don't know what we're gonna do. Want to head out now?
Yeah, whatever it is, I think that Jermaine should definitely head out the back to try to sneak up on him, just because he's our secret weapon at this point.
Beep, 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 beep.
I fucking run.
Jermaine books it for the front door.
Whoa.
I run for the other direction.
No, I mean,
Okay.
there was a beeping sound, right?
Right, yeah, there was. You just said you fucking run, I didn't know where you were heading.
No, I'm heading for the back door, because I assume the beeping is coming from the front.
The beeping is actually coming from inside the building.
Oh, in that case, yeah, I head for the front door.
then yeah, straight out door.
Okay.
And I yell for
Yup.
them to run too.
I think we all run.
When you see the bodyguard run, I think your best call is to follow the bodyguard, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to pull out my sawed-off as I run.
Okay. As Marcus casts his eyes quickly towards location where the vehicle was, it is missing. The beeping is getting louder and more insistent from on the first floor of the middleman. Not the middleman, the building, real estate.
I think they're here.
Running straight for the my car.
Yeah, I'm heading straight for it, and I'm gonna, let anyone who wants climb in as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go with Jermaine, I guess.
I'm going with Jermaine as well.
Well,
All
I'll
right.
go with Joseph.
Shotgun.
I don't care. I just figured
Fine.
split up.
Alright, as you all quickly get into the vehicles and scan your surroundings, the beeping stops, and then, much perhaps most to Byron's horror, there is a conflagration of fire and flame within the building as a bomb inside of it detonates.
I immediately asked Rain if she saw the sedan.
She shakes her head. Smoke and fire are billowing everywhere, and the beasts inside you vampires are clawing in a mixture both out of anger as well as fear.
Yeah, I'm driving the fuck away. Specifically, I'm going to drive in the direction that he originally said the sedan was, and I'm going to try and weave through a few blocks to see if we can find it.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a, wits plus drive there, Jermaine.
Understood.
Difficulty of 6, which may or may not end up being resisted.
Yeah.
I'm telling Rain to pull him as soon as he starts the car.
Okay. It's gone ahead and done, and you all managed to get away. Jermaine, it seems you've skillfully darted through the various streets, heading as quickly away from O'Malley Real Estate as possible. Yeah,
It's more that I'm trying to take a winding path to see if I can run into the
Right.
sedan.
Yeah. However, it does not appear that it's the case. You do not locate this vehicle. At least Marcus has a better idea of how it looks, and Marcus definitely does not see the vehicle at all. The spot where it used to be is empty. And there's no one, quickly speeding through the streets acting out of ordinary. Although there are a lot of vehicles and other traffic that have fucking stopped to stare at this explosion. As a plume of smoke is rising from O'Malley Real Estate, the entirety of the building on fire.
Yeah, Byron is speechless. He's like I just put it in the chat. If he had tears, he might be sobbing right now. He's very angry.
All right. It's at this point that I am going to, let's see, Joseph does not have a cell phone, right?
Joseph
Brandon.
does have a cell phone. Oh, okay. His ghoul does, and Byron has a cell phone as well.
Okay, so do I know his ghoul's cell phone number?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to call it.
take the phone from her.
She gives you the phone.
If they hit the office, they might be going for your church.
Possible. I'll call you back in a sec. I'll hang up, call Craig, tell him to get out of the church, lock the door, and just leave. Or, not even, yeah, lock the door and just leave.
Okay. Craig
Immediately.
does just that. You want to stay on the line with them, or do you hang up the phone with Craig?
No,
Okay.
hang up and call back.
Okay. So you and Jermaine are in constant contact here. Go ahead and talk. All of you, feel free to describe how your characters are acting, responding to this situation.
Where to now?
It's actually questionable whether, like the guy said jokingly, but it's not actually that much of a joke, whether or not Byron would have to make a frenzy roll here, because he's pretty upset. Twice in a week, his business gets blown up.
Well, the first one wasn't an actual blow-up. Now it has. I'm going to go ahead and say no. Although you might think Byron might end up frenzying the situation, I think that he's going to be enough in control of himself where he's impatient enough that he wants to do something to solve this, but he runs into a dead-end situation where he realizes he needs to be a bit more logical about it.
Our building itself is only a fraction of what we own. Most of our thing is in real estate. I mean, unless they blew
It's
up
true.
all of our buildings, then...
Yeah, it's
And we're
not the
still
money,
getting
though.
rent.
It's
It's
like
just-
all the work he put in there during the week, and then it blows up. I mean, it's just, yeah. But, I mean, he probably would have kept it together. But I was throwing it out there as an
I mean,
option.
I'm sure that we even own options that we can quickly convert into new offices. It's just...
Right. It's more along the lines of a symbolism and the fact that you all were in there.
Right.
These guys are facing the sun. We're going to keep them alive for the rest of eternity.
It would probably be safer just to leave them for the sun.
Whatever, I don't care. I want them to be tortured for the rest of forever.
You should care, because they almost got you this time.
We can decide that after we killed them. A couple of times.
So Jermaine and Joseph are having an interesting conversation here, right? As they're driving the cars. Where are you guys going?
I told Rain to loot Jermaine, so wherever he's going.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going wherever you guys suggest I should go, to the church, to wherever.
Church probably useless if they're hitting it. Everything we need out of it, I need out of it's out.
Also,
If he's
a side note, unless I'm mistaken, David's torpored corpse is still in the church, correct?
It sure is.
Oh, that's true. Well, either he'll survive it or he won't. I'm not having Craig go back in there, and I'm not going back on the off chance that they're following us. I think. Oh, do I remember what that building, their headquarters was here?
It's somewhere in middle to lower Manhattan, the Metro Cab. If that's what you're talking about. Was that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Do you wanna see, on the off chance that it's the same place, go see if we can wreck their ship? If it's not, I mean, wrecking up someone else's shit randomly, but if it is, it's a statement. If it's not, we're pissing off someone else in the equation, but at this point, I mean, they fucked us over every which way. At this point, I think I'm more concerned with destroying them any which way I can, even if it destroys everything of ours in the process.
So
course, it's
you cut
Manhattan.
off your nose to spite your face, so to speak.
Well, considering that they're already hacking away at the nose.
It is worth noting, as you're taking the quick time to quickly process it. This office is very close, perhaps even considered to be within the territory of the Harpy Helen Panhard.
Huh. Well, Byron doesn't want to go and tear up a place regardless of who owns it, unless he knows that they're, I mean, he's angry, but, I mean, he's seeing Jermaine's point here. Why go cause trouble when we don't even know what it's going to do?
He's seeing Jermaine's point through the cell phone.
Well, no, I mean, it was an out of character point. If it's brought up, he'll bring it up, but he's not on the phone. He can hear
I mean,
Joseph's side of it, so he's definitely going to say, I don't think that's a good idea. But he doesn't
what
know
else
where
are
to
we
go
going to
either.
wait for them to torch us again?
Oh, I want to find them, and I want to destroy them, but I'm thinking more of setting a trap. I don't know how we would do that, but I mean, they're definitely coming at us. So if we set up something, we might be able to get the jump on them, because they think they beat us up pretty bad last time, and we were unprepared. If we're prepared, we might do better.
If they didn't see us, we can go underground. It's possible we can all pretend that we've been completely obliterated in that. That's another option.
Yeah.
Whatever we do, we need a game plan. Because next time, I expect it to be the church. If it doesn't happen tonight.
Right.
Do we have another another empty building? It really doesn't matter what kind at this point. We have another empty building that we could easily go to?
Sure, you have plenty of real estate options within the domain of Astoria. As Aaron suggested out of character, it's certainly possible for you to head to any of those.
Well, let's pick on a good, preferably defensible one, and head there for the night at least.
Okay.
I'd rather be talking about this when we're not in a point where, hey, someone can tip over our cars, like, you know, what happened last time with whatever the fuck that thing was.
You four end up relocating near the northern tip of Astoria there, by the river. There's a place there that is currently vacant and been on the market for a little, just for whatever reason hasn't been able to get an occupant or tenant at it one way or the other. But it's fairly defensible. It's got a clear avenue lined with trees, big windows for you all to get scenery, only one major thoroughfare into that area so you all can get an idea of the traffic coming in. None of you have spotted any vehicles following you. The only ones that you recognize are just your two vehicles.
Somewhere we can sleep simply is the first thing that I'm thinking about. Making sure that there is some place where we can sleep relatively safely.
Certainly could be done. I mean, you've got, it's not even midnight yet. You've got many hours, yeah.
I'm not worried about going to sleep at the moment. I want it to be somewhere where we can, pull up.
Yeah, you all can certainly pull up here, and if you are worried about the defensibility of the situation, you've got plenty of hours to customize however you see fit.
If need be, I can watch over this place during the day. That's well within my job description.
Yeah. So, what are ours?
The two of you have, you see the two cars have pulled up, four of you have piled out, and now that you are with each other and not using your cell phones, feel free to discuss however you see fit. What's going through all of your characters' minds, how they feel about what's just happened, and what they want to do going forward.
Do we have roof access here?
Certainly.
All right.
It's your building.
I'm going to head to the trunk, put on my Kevlar vest, hand out the walkie-talkies, and take my rifle on up to the roof. Just in case.
You could explain what you're doing to... You could explain what you're doing to the... Okay.
Just in case the blue sedan comes around again, I'm going to keep a watch out for it. You can use the walkie-talkies to contact me, talk to each other, keep me in the loop.
Every few minutes, make sure to just double check that you're there.
You can just leave it on broadcasting, but yeah, I'll check in every now and then.
Well, I'd rather not have our whatever we're saying just being broadcasted out for whoever may overhear it.
That's fair. I was going to turn it on low so I could listen in.
Yeah, but I'd rather do that just in case. If someone does kill you, sneak up, kill you, take the walkie-talkie. I'd rather not them hear everything we say.
That's fair.
What would you like your ghoul to do, Joseph?
Come in with us.
Okay.
She's no use to fight. There's no reason to have her sitting in the car.
I also recommend that you take my appropriate weapons and ammunition cans into that place with you.
Might have taken everything out of the car. This may be our home for a while yet.
Right, all the armaments that you left in Germain's trunk are certainly open access to you all, because he clearly had them.
And I do have a semi-automatic shotgun with an extended drum magazine. So, whoever wants that.
Right. Well,
I mean, I'm getting my shotgun from your trunk.
That's fine.
I'll take the big shotgun. I'll be happy to have something that'll blow some things away.
I've also got a second axe in there if you guys want it.
what is your other shotgun lost in that black van, Joseph?
No, I grabbed on the way out. I said I grabbed it and before I stepped out of the van.
Gotcha. Sean, that was the name I was looking for. Yeah. Well, I'll just take your other one then. I mean, we'll all have shotguns in that case. Byron right now is a little concerned. I'll tell you what's going through his head. He doesn't know whether or not to call Evelyn up. He doesn't know if calling her would put her in more danger. If we're trying to lay low and make it look like we may have died, calling her up might not be the best idea, but he wants to let her know.
Is Byron concerned that his cell phone is being tapped?
He's concerned that they know where Evelyn lives, and if they go there and check her phone, they'll see a message from him. I mean, tapped, he hadn't even thought of that. No.
Yeah, it's probably on the. Do you bring it up with the rest of the group?
Yeah, he's gonna take a poll because he's lost. He's just like, what do you think I should do? Do you think I should call her? Should we send Rain over there in? I mean, because that'll lead him to her too. So he doesn't even know. Maybe Rain should just call her rather.
Just to clarify, we're inside with everything at this point?
Absolutely.
Okay. Then I say it's probably best not to call her just to be on the safe side. If either which way she's going to be concerned, but if we can do anything at all to make sure we have everything in order before we start actually doing things, that's probably for the best.
Yeah, Byron will agree. He'll say at least for the rest of the night and perhaps the next day, just leave Evelyn in the dark, even though she doesn't like it. But she figures the police will call her up tomorrow and say the office has been firebombed, and she'll be dealing with that all day anyway.
Yeah, the firebombed office will probably keep her busy. Jeez. So, what are our options? Well, if no one else is going to think of anything, first option, pretend we died. We didn't see anything on the way out. Their car was gone. It may not know where we are. We can very well pretend to be in torpor right now. Or not torpor, pretend to be burned to a crisp.
Byron has no better plan.
But would Byron's impatient nature allow him to just sit and lie and wait constantly?
Well, maybe not, but what else is he going to do? I mean, he doesn't even know where to go. He could run out there and try to take on the world, but, I mean, I think he might be bouncing off the walls. I mean, here, why don't I just run a check and see, and then...
I mean, I just thought I would bring it up. I'm not going to, like, enforce or impose it. It's just that you took the character flaw, which has to be role-played, not just me assigning, you know, a penalty to you through the self-control roles. Just wanted to have an idea of how your character would feel, as he's an impatient person.
He is. I just don't know what he would do with
I get the impression that he fucking hates it, but doesn't see another option.
Right. I mean, if there were any other thing that he would do, I would definitely do it. But, I mean, And patience, not the same thing. Shoot, I'd rather die than be here. So I'm
Of course, of course. I just thought I would bring it up for the opportunity of explaining your character's feelings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
I mean,
it looks like we have essentially two paths. One, pretend everything's normal, or three paths, I mean. One, pretend everything's normal, which is the stupid approach. Two, pretend we're dead, which is the slow and patient approach. Or three, go maybe see if we can throw ourselves on the spike that is probably that Oberus office and get ourselves all killed.
yeah, I think that Byron will be good at least for the rest of the night. I mean, you just almost die. But if nothing happens by tomorrow, he's going to want to do something, I think. So I think he's okay to stay put right now.
Okay.
You have any secondary ways of getting in contact with Evelyn? Any ways other than phone? Uh, jeez. Probably not even better. I can't think of any other ways.
There's Germain. I'm just throwing that out there as a suggestion.
My goals too.
Your ghouls might be known as they are the drivers for your vehicles.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. I mean, I was actually thinking ahead. Right now, Byron is fine with Jermaine being on the roof because he feels safer with that happening. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 because if Jermaine goes during the day, that's when they need him to watch the place. I guess a few hours will go by, and if nothing happens, he'll ask Jermaine to at least go by Evelyn's apartment, scattered out briefly, and if nobody's around, he doesn't see anybody, go in there and give her a heads up that he's okay, but don't tell her where he is or anything like that, I guess.
Yeah, I want to keep that information as close as possible. It's not only best for us, it's maybe very well best for her, because if she does do something stupid and leaves them to us, it's more likely to get her killed too.
Okay.
So Jermaine's out on the roof, so he's not been able to hear any of this at all.
Yeah.
Except for when you radio up to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as at this point, I'd probably like to tell Rain to get some sleep. That should be able to, but if you can, just rest a few hours.
She's wired up and very concerned about your well-being, but she will very reluctantly follow your orders and attempt to rest. Jermaine, your position on the roof is such that you can definitely hear the emergency sirens off in the distance, and even in the night sky, there is a plume of smoke that is rising, and there's definitely some light there. It's being cast, giving a an ominous feel to it. Certainly, there's no mistaking that is definitely the real estate office.
All right. And I haven't noticed the blue sedan on the street, have I?
No, you've had a very clear and precise angle. There's been some car traffic that's passed, like several blocks down, but there's no one who's been coming to make an approach at where you are stationed.
Okay.
Jordan, you've been quiet for a while. How does Marcus feel?
Marcus really wants to hurt those people, and he's basically in deep thought figuring out how he can find out where these people are so he can repay them. And it's really annoying him that he has nothing to go on.
Okay. Well, time passes, as you all sit here and contemplate, perhaps silently or perhaps aloud things. Feel free to stop whenever you want something to happen. We're currently looking at midnight here, 12:10, 12:20.
The one thing I'd like to point out to the rest of the group is I actually have the potential to go out with obfuscate. It's something I'd bring up in character. I can actually make myself look like other people. I'm not sure I've ever shown you guys the trick, but it can be useful. Just something to keep in mind while you're thinking about how we're going to kill everyone in the world. If that's what it takes.
Everyone in the world must die.
Everybody in the world gotta die.
All right, 12.
And that was how Gehenna got started early.
Yep. Joseph Jung. 12:30, 12:40, 50, 1 a.m.
All right, well, are we keeping in contact with Jermaine? And he's told us he sees nothing, I'm guessing.
Correct.
All right, Byron's gonna now that you bring up obfuscate, Byron's gonna say, well, how do you feel about obfuscating and taking a look around outside, see if you can scout it out?
Well, I guess there's no reason not to, as long as I stay behind like post or something. I'll go ahead and use the basic obfuscate, and poke my head out the door. If it looks like there's enough shadow, enough things in the roadway for me to just keep something between myself and everything else, I'll maybe go down upwards of a block or so.
Okay, you go ahead and you certainly can do just that. No one can see you. Byron, your cell phone is ringing.
Yeah, if it's, I'm assuming it's Evelyn. If I don't know, I'm not going to answer the phone regardless. But
It is Evelyn.
yeah, he's going to hate it, but he's not going to. He's just going to turn the phone off. Actually, he's going to let it ring out, then turn it off.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have a problem with it? I mean, do you think that?
Well, I think...
He can't say. He's on the roof.
Right, I'm saying in out-of-character terms, I would think that on the one hand, it could be him confirming that Evelyn is all right, and on the other hand, it could be something that gives impatient Byron a lead if she's not.
That is true. Yeah.
He did
Phone's
agree
off.
to wait for a couple of hours, and I did bring up that I can personally go and check on her with my obfuscate.
But I mean, if she's calling anyway.
Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna roll a D3. 1 and 2 he answers, 3 he doesn't.
Phone's off.
Well, okay, fine. He'll turn it back.
You let it ring and then you turned it off. I'm going with what you decided before the other players influence you with out-of-character stuff.
That's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I'll make the same roll for. He's going to be fidgeting because he did it, but he's going to want to know. So, like he said. So, anyway, I just want to do it for my personal thing because I'm not sure what he would do here. Yep, he's going to wait maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then it's going to get the better of him. He's just going to, unless somebody stops him, he's going to try calling her phone back.
If it's 15, 20 minutes, I'm probably back in the room by then.
Yeah, Joseph, your character has gone down the block, taken a look around. You see Jermaine there, a very small and thin shadow up on the roof. If you didn't know that where to look, you probably wouldn't have spotted him. But he's certainly there with his scoped rifle, and you head on back.
You guys still alive?
Good joke.
Anything happen?
What's Marcus been up to?
Nothing much. I mean, he probably would have went up on the roof to look out over the city with Jermaine for a bit, but other than that, he hasn't been really doing much. Probably just sitting with Byron and making sure he doesn't,
If he
wander
actually
off.
comes up on the roof, Jermaine would suggest that he take a look with the scope since he has better vision.
He will, if offered.
Okay. With your heightened aspects, you can, smoke is dying down. Emergency vehicles responses have probably managed to put out the flames, but almost perhaps it's just your imagination. The if you inhale and take a breath, the whiff of charred ruins and broken dreams from the horizon.
Oh, broken dreams, like my mom used to make me in the morning. I love broken dreams.
Byron, you fidget?
Yeah, I just got a call from Evelyn, and he's gonna he's gonna have the phone in his hand. He's gonna be looking at it. It's gonna be off, and it's like I didn't answer it. I turned the phone off, but I think I need to call her back, see what's going on.
Calling her is probably a bad idea. I'll go myself if you want.
Yes, definitely. Please do. See if she's first of all, let her know that we're okay. Don't tell her. I mean, he's just gonna leave it at that. But let her know that we're okay. See if she's okay.
There is a call on let's see, since Joseph the cell phone is actually one. Well, he still has it from his ghoul. It rings. The number is registered from Mikhail Vargas.
Not sure what to do. Turn to Byron and look to see what he thinks. Marcus come back down from the roof? Was that earlier or is he currently on the roof?
I think that was a bit earlier, probably.
He can be downstairs if he wants to be.
So he's downstairs now.
Look to both of them to see what they think. Just for a second.
Could you repeat what you said earlier?
What I said?
Yep.
As soon as the phone starts ringing and he picks it out, say it's Vargas and look to the both of them to see what they think.
Byron's gonna nod an affirmative to pick it up.
Yeah, you should probably pick it up.
Okay, I'll pick it up.
A very angry as well as frustrated voice the barks out, the old man. What the hell has been happening in my precinct?
It appears someone's trying to kill us.
He pauses. And they obviously failed to do that. Are all of you still, and then, alive?
I'd rather no one know that. But for the moment.
We've got investigators. I've got patrol cars going over the entire area right now. Evelyn, your Mrs. O'Malley, is all right, although obviously distraught, particularly whenever she could not get a hold of Byron.
If your investigations, and I know this is a big something to ask, can turn up a few bodies, or some major amounts of ash, actually. Out of character, ghouls, do they leave bodies or ash?
Ghouls leave bodies.
Yep.
One and a major amount of ash and one female body?
Young vampires can also leave bodies, actually, I think.
They certainly can.
I think we're all old enough that we won't. I mean, are we at the point where we'd leave bodies?
Maybe. Vampires are one of those, as Aaron likes to say, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly things.
Yeah, I was actually about to say, I think it's kind of a wibbly-wobbly amount of time.
Then partial remains, something to indicate whatever decided that they were going to attack our building may have succeeded. One female body, three special cases. Whatever you think would be appropriate for us to leave behind.
I'm just going to break in here, and he can't hear the other side of the phone call, but he says, is Evelyn there? Does he know? What's going on?
I'll say 1 second to Vargas. Evelyn's safe. Vargas has made contact with her. I'll ask him to do more, too.
Okay, see if he can subtly let her know that, I know that's your job, Marcus, sorry. If he can let her know that I'm alive, or on whatever, not final dead.
Okay. Then back to Vargas. I'm here again.
Right, as Vargas has heard this information, you can hear him talking to someone in the background, followed by a big cry of relief.
I'm hoping you're somewhere secure, Vargas?
There's a sort of a chortle, "Of course I am. Although, judging by what I have just learned about, I can't say I would know that much. You're asking a very tall order from me, Joseph."
I am. I'll owe you a great deal for doing this for me.
So what exactly do you plan on doing with this, about this? Am I going to have to worry about more amateurly crafted bombs appearing in buildings here?
Whatever was attacking us was specifically attacking us. It's happened repeatedly, directed directly at us. I am highly doubtful that anything's going to happen again, and in fact, I am almost certain that if they are sure we are gone, that it'll be much safer in your precinct.
I mean, I'm sure that he remembers a week ago when our place got shot up.
There is a long sigh. I can make no promises about what I am able to do, but... And here I thought you had made the place safer.
I thought so too.
There is another sigh followed by a click as the line disconnects.
I'll turn off the cell.
Byron is visibly relieved. He doesn't have to think about Evelyn anymore. So he's just his eyes are gonna dart back and forth from the two of them and say, what now?
I'm not sure. About Evelyn, one thing I want to mention to you, Byron, is that with us presumed missing, she is almost certainly much safer.
Byron nods. So yes, I've been thinking the same thing.
Which means that if your face turns up suddenly, it may make her significantly less safe. Just something to keep in mind if you get impatient.
Byron will take it in and just nod slowly.
Well, whatever we're doing, it seems as though we have some payback to give.
A lot of it.
Jermaine, my brother, nothing exciting is happening.
That's the way I prefer it.
Time for you to get paid for doing nothing. Woo!
The more I get paid for the less stuff done, the better.
Right. Again, this is pretty much the opportunity for your characters to do whatever you want and discuss whatever you want. Time will continue to pass by as you all discuss and formulate your plans and basically decide where your characters want to go from here, if they even want to go anywhere from here.
Well, one thing I do want to say is that I am almost certainly convinced at this point that pretending to be dead, for at least the moment, is our best bet. Perhaps being that may throw them enough that we can see a mistake in their plans.
Unless they just stop now. What plans do they have left for us if they assume we're dead?
Not necessarily just us either. I mean, even so, we'll almost certainly be able to stay in contact with some kindred. Whose numbers do we have? Obviously looking at Byron because he's the most likely to have any numbers we have.
Other than the contacts, Byron isn't going to have any numbers, I don't think, unless David gave the number for Carter.
He didn't.
But right, so he's got nothing because I don't even. He might know.
Yeah, Byron might have other people that he spends time with, but in terms of relating to you folks, he's got your contacts and your ally, Mikhail Vargas.
And we really can't ask any more of Mikhail. We're already asking too much of him. The real problem is here, we don't know anything about these guys, and every time we try to find information about them, we don't get anything about it. So either we just roll up and let them think they've won, which I don't want to do. Well, we have to figure out who the fuck these assholes are.
Well, there's obviously a reason why they wanted us out of Astoria. I don't know if that's because they want to move in, which seems most probable. So if they indeed think we're dead and gone, perhaps maybe they'll start sending people in and we can catch them unawares that way, because all we have to do is get one prisoner and we can beat him senseless.
Unless the reason they were attacking was just retaliation for you poking around in the Bronx.
No, they started following us for that.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they followed us to there. They stopped following us as soon as we left Manhattan. Because we went south of Manhattan and they stopped, I think, whatever's down there, Jersey, I think we went to, or something like that. And
You went to Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, okay. So they went to Brooklyn, and then we went back up to the Bronx, and they stopped following us both ways. So
There is a decent chance that whatever it is may actually be Camarilla. I mean, they seem most comfortable in Camarilla territory. They seem uncomfortable in the wastes, the areas where no vampires are. Except for hitting out of Elysium, they seem to follow us anywhere where vampires were. There was.
I mean, yeah, they stopped following us when you went to the Bronx. They just stopped following.
Yeah, I think, I mean, at least for now, Byron is fine with laying low and seeing what happens. But I mean, the next day, I mean, he's going to roll one or two impatience checks probably. I have no idea what he would do if he failed one now.
Tomorrow night, if something hasn't happened before then and we haven't come up with a plan before then, I, Jermaine, am going to want to head back to the church sometime before sunset with your ghoul and your car and try to lure them out.
I would be a better bet than the ghoul, and I have the ability to pass myself off as her if I get a high enough roll. A ridiculously high roll.
Are you sure you want to put yourself in harm's way like that?
I'd rather me than her. Not
Fair
to mention
enough.
I'd be much more useful.
The main reason I wanted it to be before sunset, though, was so that the car was already there by the time sunset. Do you want to go there and sleep during the day?
No, I don't know what's the best idea how to do things.
For record's sake, since you'd be completely appearing as a person of the opposite sex, that would definitely require 5 successes if you wanted to be flawlessly accurate. By the same token, though, if they've never gotten close enough to get a good look at her, you could probably wing by with less.
Yeah, I mean, I could just hear as someone completely else, and, I mean, they know my car at least, so... Hell,
Certainly so.
appearing as someone, a whole third party would, may be useful to throw them because they may, not know who we are at all. That may make them decide to follow someone else.
Alternatively, I could set up somewhere where I have a good view of the wreckage and wait for tomorrow night and see if they come back to scope out what they've done.
I have a hard time believing you'll see them because it's even hard for me to see them.
And it's also worth sharing, as a storyteller here, given the situation, direct attacks like this, especially between vampires, are simply something that doesn't happen. Most especially in an ivory tower setting. You'll have like thinly veiled threats, you'll have all sorts of backdealings and finagling, but each vampire, in an attempt to save his own skin, usually keeps himself as far away from harm as possible. The fact is that these three vampires are so motivated enough that they've tried on 2 separate occasions, one bringing high-powered guns, and now in the middle of your domain where you would feel the most secure, and where all other kindred at least acknowledge the fact that you exist here in Astoria, they set off a bomb. This is going to draw a lot of attention from kindred society.
Yeah, which leads me to think Sabat, because Sabat are much more likely, especially when attacking the Ivory Tower, to do this kind of stuff, to just straight up wreck shit. Still, I don't think Joseph will rule anything out until he has, well, I guess he actually can't put their heads on a stake because they'll probably turn to ash, but...
Yeah.
Whatever we do, we need to do something.
I just don't know what to do.
Even if it's just establishing a plan to do something at a later date.
We all can continue with this session if you would like. As we formulate the plans, we can even progress to the next day whenever you enact this stuff. If you 4 players would like more time, an entire week of, like say, out of character, thinking about this before you enacted your plans, say, the very next in-game day, we can do that as well. It's up to you on whether you want to continue the session now or progress further.
I'm fine with continuing right now.
I am too.
Yep, same here.
You okay, Jordan?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just talking in the chat.
All right. I understand this is frustrating on a variety of levels for you folks as well. It's why I'm trying to check in.
I actually find this really interesting and exciting.
Well, yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's, personally I'm frustrated we don't have much to go on, but that's part of the fun, so.
All right. Just wanted to do a check there to make sure everything was okay with you all as players.
But then again, I'm the person who likes to see his characters fail.
It's true. Aaron has a little bit of a fucked up problem here.
I think it makes for a more interesting story.
It does, but at this point in the story, but the main characters don't know what the hell's going on, and it's really
Oh no, totally. In character, there's all sorts of worry and upset. Out of character, this is cool.
Okay, calling out Jermaine, I'll ask him to come down. If it's been a few hours, I mean, if they know where we are, they're not, whatever it is, they're not showing up right now. If they do, we're fucked any which way. At the moment, I think it's best to come down. We'll fill him in on everything we've talked about, everything that's been mentioned, everything possible I can think of from Vargas to all of our Diaz, his plan I'm assuming he'd bring up, and I'll mention going with him, and then turning to the rest of the coterie. So unless there's objections, wait up a night. I'll go with him in a different body. In my car we'll both be in my car to the building to see if they show up. Oh, one thing I wanted to ask, how good is your drive?
Mine?
Yeah.
Do you want it in out-of-character terms or in-character terms?
Either which way.
Out of character, I've got 4 dexterity and specialty in military reflexes, and a dot in drive. In character, he would probably say he's got pretty good hands and he's good in tense situations.
Well, I hope that'll be enough. So, unless anyone objects.
Byron doesn't. For now, anyway.
Okay. Does Marcus wish to do or say or plan anything on his own, Jordan?
not really at this point.
Okay. In that case, the rest of the morning passes relatively uneventfully for your characters as you've all transitioned into Monday morning now. And you all end up making things as best you could. They're not exactly heavy drapes here for the windows, but you make makeshift things. You choose interior areas where you won't be touched by the sun at all. And you've had all the time to basically make these preparations. So you do the best you can, and you prepare to rest for the coming day. Jermaine, I imagine, ends up getting a few hours of sleep himself.
Probably, so that he's awake by the time that they're going to sleep.
Right. What would Jermaine like to do over the course of this day? It's now Monday the 26th of January.
I think he's going to be spending the better part of the day guarding this place.
Okay.
Probably going to start out by asking Joseph's ghoul, if she's still around, to bring him some breakfast, both of them some breakfast and some coffee.
She can certainly do that.
Good. And after that, she's not the sort to get...
She comes back with a newspaper, a huge expose from the Astoria paper made by Bridget Starr, but there is considerable national media attention as well. Whatever attack this was not covered or smoothed over in any way by any sort of internal political engine. There was a deliberate attempt at not committing arson, but bombing a building.
Alright, I'm going to read it in great detail, see if there are any details I need to be aware of.
Police investigators are still looking heavily into the matter. What's been publicly released, though, is that this attack happened late on Sunday night, approaching Monday morning. As for bodies recovered, wounded people, possibly property damaged, it can't be said. Evelyn O'Malley is not available for comment. Mikhail Vargas, the deputy inspector, as well as fire inspectors, are pretty solid on keeping the details hidden from public purview. There's a lot of speculation about this, and for a city which, does see its fair share of, crime in all forms, a direct bombing of a building, though, is a big fucking deal.
Was I given the contact information for Miguel Vargas?
I do not think you were, but you could get it off of one of the cell phones.
Nah, I'm not going to bother with that in that case. Instead, I'm going to call up Evelyn O'Malley.
The phone rings for a bit, but she responds. She sounds very tired, as if she has been up the entire night and morning ever since she was informed by police of what's happened.
I expect she has. Evelyn, what can you tell me about what's been happening?
Her voice is very shaky and strained. She begins slowly detailing the process, of trying to sift through all sorts of information to see what the business might have lost, what information they might have kept and hadn't been properly transferred out. Very upset and concerned not just for her safety and the safety of her employees, as well as, safety of Byron, as well as the rest of the group. But she primarily cares about Byron. And she's really relieved that he's actually still, he's not dead.
Right.
There's just a huge amount of paperwork she has to sift through, especially in regards to, insurance claims and what have you. Although, since the police and the fire inspectors have confirmed that this was a deliberate, intentional attack, and in no fault of any way, shape, or form with O'Malley Real Estate, there's certainly going to be an reimbursement for that.
That's good. I'm going to ask her if she wants me to bring over breakfast and coffee for her.
As it turns out, she actually has a deputy who's overlooking her. Yeah. So, especially this time, apparently Mikhail Vargas oversigned someone, just to make sure, because in a situation like this where a building's been bombed, the police aren't exactly prepared to deal with it. So, Mikhail Vargas is certainly might have strained relations with the group now, but out of memory and perhaps respect for David, he's doing what he can to help.
Makes sense to me. Alright, in that case, I'll tell her to keep up the good work, and that Byron will be relieved that she's okay.
She perks up a little bit at the name drop of Byron, but
I figured.
She's very frustrated. What else would Germain like to do during the day?
After that, I think I'm going to take, half an hour to an hour at some point during the day to go and try to kind of be one of the gawkers at the scene.
Okay. Certainly possible for you to do so. The building is definitely in shambles. Your military expertise, you're not exactly an explosive expert, and you're not exactly keen on investigative things, but the charge from what Mikhail had initially given to Joseph, and combined with your own observations, this definitely did seem like an amateur type of thing. an explosive device designed for maximum impact on the interior of the building, primarily designed to kill people, rather
not
than
so much
destroy
for
the entire
demolishing.
building. Yeah.
How intact does the second floor look?
It's sort of, the infrastructure has caved in a little bit, so it's a little weak, but it's still in existence. The framework of the building and the foundation is still intact. It's just that everything within, from the desk, the computers, the tables, the chairs, decorations, important files, all gone.
Eyeballing it, does it look like this place is going to have to get demolished?
You're not sure whether it would be cheaper to demolish and rebuild the entire thing, or try to renovate the entire building from its current condition.
Alright.
There are certainly great lines of police tape. Investigators are still around. You've even got some folks, you even have federal investigators around as well, checking things, in addition to city and state employees.
Okay, well, the fact that that charge was planted suggests to me that either they have mortal agents working for them, or they have someone who can turn invisible who planted it that evening. Either way, I'm going to want to head over to the church now and get in contact with Craig. By the way, I would have left my shotgun back there with the other ghoul to, just in case.
Okay, just for a quick briefing, the church is perfectly fine. No attack has been committed. Craig's fine. Other than the fact that Joseph has gone, he hasn't been around for, like, perhaps, service recently or for consultations. Everything's okay. The church is closed since Craig left it, so there's obviously some concern over that.
Alright, I'm going to suggest to him that he and I sweep the place, looking to make sure that no one's planted anything. And if he doesn't want to do that he should just let me in instead.
Okay, he doesn't really know you. He's following Joseph's directives here on keeping the building locked up. So even if you do sell him on that, he's going to be pretty wary of allowing anyone in.
I will tell him that I am working for Joseph.
Yeah, considering the fact that everything that's just transpired, if you want to attempt to, like, persuade him to do so, you can. But
I'll
he's
try
just
to.
Okay.
And I understand if he refuses it.
Go ahead and give me a charisma plus manipulation, something like that. Difficulty 8.
Success?
Get a basic success. He stares at you very warily, but he don't immediately decide to allow you to do so. For the purposes of speeding this up so that we can get back to nighttime, you do get a check of the building. Craig does insist that you stay out of 2 personal rooms, one being Joseph's bedroom and the other one being a special soundproof room.
Looks like some kind of panic room.
Yeah.
Alright.
But beyond that, just a cursory examination of things as you're going over and sweeping the place. Doesn't look like there are any sort of explosives, any things that'll go beep and then blow up the church. On the exterior or in the interior.
Alright. I'll encourage him to keep an eye on the place if he can.
He will nod.
I mean, I'm not giving him orders or anything. I'm just giving him encouragement.
Okay.
After that, I'm going to head back to the place in Astoria, and between, swapping off shifts of keeping watch, I'm going to try and get enough sleep during the day that I'll be fine to go all night.
Okay. Rest of the Monday day ends up passing then as Jermaine does what he can, and night comes. All 3 vampires eventually rise, Byron, of course, being first before the other 2 do as well. I believe your rolls for the purposes of your flaw are only done once per session, so you'll be fine until next time, Aaron.
All right.
Speaking of roles, anyway, yeah. You did go back there, didn't you, Jermaine? You're there when Byron wakes up?
Yes, I am.
That's good. You won't be rushing out the door then. He's going to question you and ask you what's going on and that sort of thing.
Right, I'll update him on everything that Evelyn said. I'll give him the paper. I'll explain that I took a look at the place, that I wasn't sure whether or not it would need to be demolished, but it looks like it was definitely some sort of amateur job. I'll mention that I went and swept the church to check the place out, and that otherwise it's been a relatively quiet day.
All right, Byron's going to be put fairly at ease there. He's going to wait for the rest of the folks to wake up so we can put your plan in action from the night before.
Now that it's nighttime, I'm going to head back up to the roof for a while and start watching the streets again.
Okay. Eventually, Marcus and Byron end up arising as well, and you all are free to enact whatever it is you wish.
Well, one quick thing. Do I notice the paper laying around?
Certainly so. Jermaine has made no attempt to disguise it, and when he showed it to Byron, you can most likely take a look as well.
Well, that gives me an idea. I'll bring it up to the rest of the group. The rest of the coterie. Hey, you think it's good? I mean, this is a chance to use one of our contacts at least. To drop a hint that bodies may have been found by the police to our newspaper contact.
Checking the story, she's actually the one who wrote that for the little Astoria paper there.
Yeah, and those things usually are followed, particularly if the police are keeping secret. I mean, we can straight up tell her the truth. Well, as much of the truth as we want to. That bodies weren't found, but for her to report it, or we can passing it off as whatever. Get her convinced that bodies were found.
Sounds good, as long as we can use a voice she doesn't know. So
it's worth reminding, she doesn't know you're vampires. Just want to make clear that she doesn't know.
Right. And we might need to have Jermaine make the call, or one of the ghouls, maybe.
After I make the change, my voice will change too. It's full body. It's everything.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, Byron says that sounds like a good idea.
At least I'm almost certain that I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it'll change my voice too.
It can. With apparently 4 successes. Beyond that, anything else your characters wish to discuss with each other, to do, or to think about, or, plans for them to be enacting on this Monday evening, which is still cloudy?
I really just think we need time out of the game to actually think about this.
I don't think that we're really going to think of anything out of character if we take a break.
I don't either.
I think at this point it comes down to us needing to either bait them so that we can finally make a counterattack, or trying to wait and seeing if they, play their hand. And if they don't, if that was them playing their hand, we're kind of screwed in that respect.
Exactly. I mean, we have so little to go on. We really need them to make a move before we can make ours.
So, bait. Right?
Yep.
That seems like more of the pressing plan rather than trying to call up Miss Star with some sort of random anonymous tip.
I agree.
And it's an anonymous tip that she doesn't have any reason to believe because...
Well, and more importantly, wouldn't even hit the papers until tomorrow.
True, but just in the meantime, just stopping at a payphone and dropping the tip off won't be much. I mean, it won't take much time or anything like that, and it's just a secondary layer.
That's fine.
Yeah, certainly fine.
Jermaine will do it. Like right now while it's
Okay.
being discussed.
Well, before you go then, unless anyone has any objections, perhaps I should head out with you.
Well, I agree. We've got
So-
to put some sort of bait out there. And your car is it. I think.
Am I going to lose another car in this?
You might.
That makes me unhappy.
I'm not going to lie to you.
So,
Not gonna
Poor
lie.
Joseph.
I'm losing cars left and right.
Would everyone like to go along and perhaps hide in the back seat while Jermaine and the transformed Joseph sit in the front?
Well, now that the Nosferatu's not here, there's room in the trunk.
You can always leave your ghoul here. I mean, since Jermaine's going to be
yeah.
driving your vehicle, yeah.
Yeah, she's not coming. She's not going to be.
There's perfectly room for 4. Jermaine and the transformed Joseph, who's going to be altering himself with Mask of 1,000 Faces, can sit in the front, and if they want to do something and go along with this, Byron and Marcus can sit in the back.
The one thing I'd like to mention to the group, in character, I'm doubtful these guys have any good chance with Auspex, so it's doubtful they'll recognize me as a vampire. They may just assume I'm another ghoul of mine or one of yours or something. So even if things fuck up, at the very least, if neither of you are with us, we can still always play the hand that we're not alive. We're dead. We're dead twice. Whatever. Just in case you guys are thinking about coming, it's just what I'm pointing out.
Yeah.
And one thing I want to do is I want to be sitting by a window and looking out and just seeing if anyone walks by. If I can get the binoculars or something to magnify with, so I can get a good image of some random person's face.
I mean, you could use the scope on my rifle.
Right. It's just easier. There's no actual game ruling, but it's supposed to be easier if you have someone who you're just copying. And so I just want to duplicate some random person rather than trying to come up with it on my own.
Okay.
Someone who looks relatively close. I mean, same height, build, somewhere in the vicinity of what I am.
You're looking for same gender then as well?
Yeah. If I can change things afterwards, I'll make myself as different as possible. But if not, it's just as I just want to be completely unrecognizable.
Okay. Go ahead and roll Manipulation plus Performance at difficulty 7. We're looking for at least 2 successes here. And a willpower. Well, shit. You smoked that thing.
It is a new day. Everyone should be spending a blood point.
Yeah, that already happened.
I don't believe Joseph has.
Oh, I suppose he didn't. I guess I just
No,
looked
and
at
then
your
that
token.
And that takes a willpower. That takes a blood point too, doesn't it?
No, I didn't think they took blood points unless they specified so, and it does not look like it does.
Oh, I guess not. Maybe it's just playing VTR more often. I'm always thinking that every discipline takes a blood point there.
But yeah, at any rate, with 1, 2, 3 successes combined with that willpower point for another one, you've easily achieved what you wanted to do. You look
Including
completely
at least-
unrecognizable.
So, we ready to go.
So I imagine the the Malkavian looks weird now for the other player characters.
Probably some random white guy.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, Byron will make movements to go with you unless you tell him to stop, in which case, which I assume you will, and he will say, well, you just keep me updated, you know.
We will.
Okay, so you two are going alone into a situation where there might be a grand attack. Got it.
Yes, we are sticking our head in a bear trap.
While the other 2 player characters are left behind to do their own thing. So the party is ending up splitting up here after all.
I think it would actually be useful to have the other 2 follow us in my car, then, so that they could assist and surprise.
No, not joking around. Might it be a good idea to have you in the trunk, one of you?
In the trunk, you don't want to implement like the back seat?
Well, see, I was thinking the ground of the back seat too. I mean, somewhere completely hidden where, no matter what, I mean, unless you look
Yeah,
straight
right, that's why I'm inquiring. Like, you guys are completely splitting up into 2s here, and it's only 2 people who are going to try to lure the bear trap. I mean, what happens if something goes awry? Like, we're towards a tail end of a session here, which has gone on for about, actually closing in on 6 hours now. So I just wanted to inquire and check.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
I'd feel a lot more comfortable if we were bringing at least Marcus with us.
Your card is an option. Your card is an option. And not joking at this point. The back seat and the trunk is another.
I think it would be better if they were following us from a distance. That's the only way that there would be any actual surprise. Otherwise, the car is getting attacked with them in it.
Because here's the thing, if someone's in the trunk and then what if they decide to just fucking ram the car? Then the trunk
Seriously.
is locked.
The actual good thing would be to have someone following with another car.
Okay, it's just my ideas.
Is Rain still in the place, or did she go back to the
No, she's still with us.
Well, we can take the second car, and she could drive that, and we could both hide in the back or hide in the trunk of the second car.
True, that is an option.
I would rather I drive.
Okay. Well, Byron is not being left alone there, that's for certain. So if you're going, he'll get in the back seat and put his jacket over his head and lay down on the seat or whatever.
Yeah, you 2 can certainly take that vehicle. You can lay in the back of the first vehicle that's being taken, whatever you all want to do.
I'm inclined to agree with Aaron's plan of taking a second car that's following behind the first one.
Not to say, not thinking about the driving skill at all or anything. It's another thing to think that if you guys are hidden in the thing, they may not know who Rain is and they may not see her at all. So if you guys stay tucked down, it may keep the car more off the radar. So
If they know who you are, they probably know who you associate with, and they'll know that Rain is a person that associates with you and your coterie.
True, but
pretty much loses.
True, but they also knew that we were in the building, and if they knew that Rain probably wasn't. They were probably there before us, or very, very soon after. So if they may believe she's alive and the rest of us aren't. Ultimately, I guess I'll leave the option up to you, Marcus, unless anyone else wants to disagree.
The entire point is that we're baiting. The entire point is that we're baiting them with the fact that we're still alive. I don't
No,
think they would be
not
especially surprised. If they're spotting the car tailing us at all, it would be
not
fairly obvious to them.
necessarily. I mean, if not necessarily if the thing doesn't hold up, we still have the option. The way I'm thinking is, I want to leave us with the option of pretending we're gone.
At this point, I don't really care. I think Marcus is like, if we're going to do this trap, we have to go all out.
I'm with him on that. We're trying to bring down a hammer on these people and
You
lure
can't-
them out into attacking. The idea that we would be masking ourselves means that they might not take the bait.
You just can't go you can't go half-assed on this. You have to go fully, and if it fails, oh well. We deal with the consequences.
There's not a way to do this without putting us in harm's way.
Oh no, I'm not worried about being in harm's way. I'm worried about leaving us with fewer options.
There's not a way to do this without taking away some of our options.
Well, the thing is, if Marcus is having his head stuck out, it doesn't leave us with the option of just pretending if they don't take the bait, or anyways, I mean, they'll know that he's alive, and wherever he goes, they'll know to follow that. If he's not, I mean,
You keep believing that they already think us dead.
Honestly, at this point, I'd rather put one of the actual vampires who's not shapeshifted in the bait car, just to make it more likely for them to take the bait. Like, put Byron clearly sitting in the back seat. Have Marcus be the person who might, come up from behind to really help us out. Know what I mean?
yeah.
Because at this point, if we bury our heads in the sand, we're going to lose a lot of face in the vampire community. We're going to lose a lot of pull with certain groups.
We're going to lose Astoria.
You
Not
have
worried
to.
about losing.
You have
Not worried
to
about losing
respond-
face at all. I'm not worried about face at all, because whatever it is, this is a pretty big war. Whether we win or lose will determine more how much face we get or lose. I mean, these guys are attacking us. If we take down a Sabbat coterie, I mean, who's going to say that we fucked up because they bombed our building repeatedly? We survived and managed to kill them without losing anything.
What's Byron think?
Well, he's not happy about being used as bait, but he does see the merit in it, and he would be in the middle of the action, which he does want to be, even though he's not a fighter. Was your suggestion that it would be Jermaine and Joseph in the front seat, and then Byron would be in the back, or is it just going to be Jermaine and Byron? That does make a difference to Byron.
It would be the three of us.
Yeah, he doesn't. He'll go along with it.
So we're going to do this?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, now is the time, right?
Yep.
Okay, equipment that your characters might be wearing or have prepared to use.
Well, I'm going to be wearing my Kevlar. I'm going to have my standard equipment on me. And in the back seat, I'm going to leave the rifle and my shotgun. And the axe.
Well, I guess Byron will have his choice of shotgun, axe, and he'll be using the shotgun. He has his pistol and knife, but he doesn't have a vest. He doesn't have the submachine gun either, because those are both at his place.
Right.
Yeah, all I'll have is my shotgun and my pistol.
Marcus is going to be putting on his Kevlar vest, and over that he's going to be putting on his jacket.
Because you left
And-
all your shit in my trunk, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And he's going to ask, do you have a hat? He's not going to disguise him. He's not going to disguise who he is very hard, but if he wears a hat, it's going to be something.
You know what? Anywhere we are in New York City, you're about a 15-second walk away from someone selling a Yankees hat.
So Marcus will acquire a Yankees hat, even if it's just grabbing it from the guy and walking on down the street.
Impersonating his hero, Theo, though.
Pretty much at this point. And and he's going to ask to have the high-powered rifle and his shotgun.
All right.
He's going to ask for his own shotgun or for...
His own.
Okay. Then,
He's gonna
yeah,
use
sure.
Now, I have a question. How much do you like this car?
Well, you guys are going to have to reimburse me if it gets damaged.
Yeah, so if it takes wrecking it, definitely we'll have enough money to pay it back.
Honestly, anything there is expendable, but you guys are paying for replacements.
All right. Yep. That's what I'm taking with me in Jermaine's car.
Okay. So you all begin your drive here from Astoria, heading on over towards Flushing, Queens, I presume?
Yep.
Okay. For the purposes of Marcus trying to remain stealthy while he is piloting this vehicle, go ahead and make a Dexterity plus Drive, difficulty 6 for me, please, Jordan.
Hey, I'm glad you've got celerity.
More dice equals more ones, right, Aaron?
It certainly did for me. That was great.
So just to clarify, how are we piled up in the cars?
I'm driving your car. You're, I presume, riding shotgun. Byron is in the back along with my spare weapons, which he can use as he pleases. And then we're being followed probably at least a few car lengths away, maybe even 30, 50 feet or more, by Marcus in my car.
Okay, that's a successful enough there, with 2 degrees of success, and well, since the vehicle that you're tailing just so happens to be someone who knows you're tailing anyway, you should be fine. Relatively inconspicuous. So how do you all actually wish to approach this Flushing Queens? I assume that if you're trying to draw people out through a trap there, Jermaine, you're going to take obvious routes, well lit, or try to make the fact that you're as apparent as possible. You're just going to approach the front of the building?
Yeah, pretty much. Probably park in front. Maybe even send Byron into the building to look around and then come back out, just to make it clear that he's out, he's around, and now might be a good time to attack.
You end up not exactly getting to the position where you end up parking. As you end up pulling to the front of the building, as you're on the street, the block in which the church is, although Jermaine personally wouldn't recognize this, there is a tall gentleman with some jewelry around, clad in cargo pants and dark green clothes with a jacket around him, a dark-skinned gentleman. He's got a bulge on the side of his jacket, and he's skulking around the exterior of the building. His head sort of whips around, and looking at the car and staring at it, at Byron in the background, it's just a motherfucker. And then he takes off running.
Just one thing before anything, I want to say, I want to have my shotgun actually in it with me and obfuscate it so I'm invisible in addition to looking different.
Okay. No one can see you. It's like, Jermaine and Byron can reason out that you're sitting there, but it's just like, if I didn't know better.
Alright, I'm going to try and actually run him down, and try and run him down as fast as possible, so he doesn't have time to get all buffed up.
Okay, let me go ahead and make a little dodge roll for him, as the car revs up and you go speeding onto the curb, as he tries to duck behind a little side avenue here. He didn't botch, but he failed that one pretty rough. Yeah, out of surprise, he just suddenly takes off running, and Jermaine revs up the vehicle, sends it careening over the road beyond the curb, and slams it right into the man's back. You've ended up actually pinning him against the wall. before he could duck down into an alley.
I put the car in park and I come out with my sawed-off level directly at him.
Marcus is going to be smart and park the car about a block away down, and he's going to just observe the situation.
With the rifle.
Indeed.
Byron's going to jump out and follow Jermaine, but he is going to, when he gets to that guy, he's going to yell and say, "Who the fuck are you and what are you doing?"
Jermaine's actually going to hold out a hand and say, "Axe."
All right, Byron will take it and toss him the axe. Or hand it. He's right next to him.
Tell us who you are, you lose an arm.
Get fucked!
I'm going to take his arm.
Given the fact that he's pinned, he is struggling mightily, and he is a very strong individual. However, Jermaine, with the ability to line up the attack properly, sends the axe careening, and he is so pissed, but still shocked from the blow of the car, he loses his arm. This is coupled by...
Take the other.
This is coupled by a very loud scream in agony, and the ability to talk with him is lost. And as you all are staring around, he has obviously lost control of himself, for the act of this has made him frenzy.
I kind of figured. It's going to be time to stake him now.
And his first action, assuming that Joseph and Byron don't wish to do immediately anything after the arm is lost, and this guy pinned by the car loses his mind.
Is there stake in the backseat?
I'll step around and actually pick up the arm and stick it in the car.
Okay.
Free arm.
Multiple reasons.
Did you end up bringing the stake with you in the backseat? Otherwise, it's not there.
Oh, I'm fucking the axe.
Yeah.
Byron, did you say you're fucking the axe?
He did say he was fucking the
I'm
axe.
wrecking the axe handle.
Okay.
I don't even want to know how you would fucking axe. But no, my stake is in the back of Jermaine's car. So if there isn't another one, we don't have it.
Okay. Marcus, you've ended up pulling the car on approach. It appears that squinting ahead in the dim light of the night sky around where that is, Jermaine piloted Joseph's car here into that gentleman who you jacked his axe.
I bet he wishes he had his axe right now.
I bet he does.
Is that the? Did he use the axe to cut his arm off, or was he using Aaron's?
No,
axe?
it was my axe.
Oh, come on! It would have been.
There would have been great irony involved, huh?
There would have been, but I mean, I was using my axe.
But anyway, Marcus is gonna keep an eye out for axe guy's friends.
All right,
He's pretty sure that the other three can handle this guy, especially considering he's got a van pressed up against the wall.
Well, yeah, I'm going to, or actually, are there any wooden things in the immediate area?
It's possibly so, but you might be forced to react a bit more. In his frenzied state, it is clear that with even one arm, there might have been reason that Byron and Joseph testified to surprise Marcus why he was the man with the axe, and why perhaps it was a good idea he never got to sink his teeth into anyone. With a mighty surge and a roar of pure rage, he flips the car. Just enough to get it off of his body.
All right.
And now it's time for an initiative roll.
All right.
1.
Opposite 10.
This is dexterity plus wits, right?
Yes, 1d10 plus dexterity plus wits plus other modifiers.
I got a total of an 8.
14.
16.
15.
And what does one-armed mech-axe guy do?
I will have to go ahead and roll his initiative now that I've added you all before I sort everything. Way to go, Axeman. You fucking rolled a 1. Good job.
Hey, does he go before me or does he go after me?
By the way, how many successes do I have to get on a damage roll to cut off and or cripple someone's arm?
I don't actually know.
Neither do I. That's why I wanted to ask. I mean, obviously, I could line up the shot with this one, so, you know, there wasn't really anything he could do, but...
So wait, Aaron, you're asking him a question?
I sure did!
No!
For purposes of this, he's going to be dodging properly. I'm going to say that you aren't able to properly line up a shot now, as he is no longer immobile and helpless.
But could I line up enough of a shot to cripple the arm? If I can't, that's fine. I'm just wondering.
For the simplicity's sake of getting this moving, since the gentleman is one-armed and he's kind of in a bad way, we'll say no for now. We'll think about it later.
That's fine.
Regardless of the one that he rolled initiative, he is going dead fucking last. But it's clear that he's kind of upset at the gentleman who plowed into him with a vehicle and then removed his arm. He's going to attempt to do something about that. Marcus?
I can hardly blame him.
I think Marcus is just going to, I think Marcus is just going to hold his action until after the other guy acts.
You could kneecap him.
I could. I'm just basically, I don't want to act if I don't have to right here.
Oh no,
It's worth noting, he's not taking wound penalties right now.
Right, but I mean, if you wrecked his kneecap, he would still probably be slowed down.
Like, if you physically removed his ability to walk, then he couldn't walk, but beyond that...
Well, no, that's exactly what I'm saying. But here's the thing, Jordan, there's an aim action where you get a +1 on your attack roll if you spend a round aiming. But if you do that with a scoped weapon, it's a +3 on the first round.
So Marcus is going to just aim.
Okay. What is Byron going to be doing?
Well, he's frenzied. I don't think there's much that's going to go. I guess Byron's going to pull out his pistol and aim at his head too. And he is not as a power, but he's just going to. Yeah, it's not going to work. He's frenzied. He's just going to line up a shot and shoot.
Readying your weapon, if you didn't already have that readied, takes your action. I thought you already had a weapon drawn.
Actually, I have that shotgun, don't I? I said I had.
Yeah.
I thought that you took the shotgun out with you.
All right. Well, I line up a shot with the shotgun to as close as I can get.
You want to try to make a called shot on his head, or are you just firing at him?
I'll just fire at him.
Okay. Joseph?
I want to shoot him in the body. If,
Are you still invisible?
Yeah.
It might be a good idea to go try and find a sharp piece of wood.
Yeah, but I can't drive that into anyone because I've got strength 1.
But you could toss it to someone.
Who then, he botches the throw check.
I mean, there's always that option.
So what would you like to do? You're going to fire at his body then, as you said. Okay.
Yeah.
And Jermaine.
Let's see. How hard would it be to snap off my axe handle into a jagged piece of sharp wood?
How strong is your character?
I'm at 3 strength with the potence.
Well, we'll go ahead and say that'll take your action to do. You can break the hand handle off, perhaps by driving it into your knee.
That's just fine with me. Just fucking snap that bitch.
Okay.
Just as a small thing, I found the rules for targeting, and the only rules it lists is +1 difficulty to hit a limb, and the effects are up to the storyteller.
Thanks, White Wolf.
Sounds good to me! Alright. That takes care of things then. Proceeding through the initiative, Germain breaks his axe. Joseph fires pretty damn close to point blank at the Axeman here.
Joseph?
He's probably got to calculate
Yeah,
all these
sorry,
dice
just
here.
adding up, and it takes me a while to type it out.
It's perfectly fine.
Just, I mean, are you sure it's not me? Because I got 14 initiative. Maybe I missed something.
You declared you will act after Joseph does. I thought you had 14. What did you actually have?
Did I declare? Whatever. We'll just go with this. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
That appears to be a basic success. So in that case, you just roll your damage. That's 5 potential dots of damage, bashing damage since you're aiming at the body before he can resist that. He takes 2 health points of bashing damage, which doesn't slow him down at all because he's frenzied, but he's obviously already very hurt with the fact that he lost an arm. Byron, you're up. Go ahead and let fire.
Man, I knew I should have reviewed the attack roll format. I thought you said we weren't going to be doing this, Grimith. So is it Dex plus firearms? Is there something else I need to roll?
Dexterity plus firearms is fine.
Yeah, why not?
So who's he shoot?
Oh, why do you people botch and make my job harder? God damn it.
I think you mean hilarious, sir.
I think Byron just killed our ghoul friend.
Good times.
No, even so.
No. I like this. So, Byron's extremely upset and impatient. He's looking at his shotgun like, well, I can't say I really had cause to use one of these before. I think it's alright, and I'm fucking good to go. Fuck you! This is for Evelyn! Ah! And so, might have sort of wince as he lifts up the barrel here, and let's fire. The shot, which it seems almost as if Byron's lucky merit is being taken into consideration here, and the fates of the cosmos and everything are intertwining with one another. This shot, near point-blank range, fully slams into Dante's head, blowing it off. He falls in final death.
Fuck.
Yep.
Byron, I hate you.
The one-armed body crumples lifelessly, not that it had much life anyway, loses all sense of animation, blood spurting out of it.
Oh, he stayed a body. It means we get to keep the arm.
Marcus, as you've been aiming with your scope here, would you like to describe how you feel about this?
I feel like I'm back in or that war last year. Just watching heads pop.
That's the end of combat, everyone. Although there's been some gunfire that's happened near the church.
I guess I destroyed my axe for nothing.
There's Germain holding, like, his axe, blade and the axe handle in his hand, just staring.
Yeah, holding one half of the handle like a stake and the other half like a hatchet.
Yeah. What's annoying is Byron had. I was just going to go up to the guy and say, I mean, he was going to do a dominate on him before you chop the arm off and cause frenzy. So, like, damn it.
Well, guy's searching for a wallet or any other personal information on his body.
He certainly has a driver's license. His name, which I will now reveal to you all by, editing his token, is Dante Avant. He has a New Jersey driver's license.
Fucking Jersey.
More specifically, located somewhere over there in Jersey City land. You're not exactly sure of the address, but that's probably because you haven't had a whole lot of interest in going over there.
How recent is the driver's license?
It has been renewed about we'll say 4 years ago. It's a picture of him looking rather thuggish and rough. The age of the character, which you could have sort of identified before his head got blown off and incinerated and turned into ash. Late 20s.
And he appears to have been embraced recently.
Well, he appears to be very much final death, but if he was alive, the picture was taken during the daytime, then perhaps he got embraced within the past 4 years.
Alright. Anything else on him? Cell phone? Anything?
There is a cell phone, obviously a burner cell phone, a temporary one. It doesn't have, perhaps it was just recently purchased. It doesn't have any numbers saved in the address book. There are 3 numbers, however, in like received and dialed calls, all of which their area codes correspond with New Jersey.
A lead.
Yeah.
Yep, that's something we need our policeman contact to maybe
Precisely.
reverse look up some of these numbers.
Precisely, because if nothing else, we could triangulate the general area based on the towers.
There's a scrap of paper which denotes the exact address of the church here, as well as car keys.
Hello.
Hey, Joseph, you get a new car.
Does it have a little fob on it to, like, do the unlock thing?
No.
What's the make and
Alright.
model?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Figures. I thought of the 1998 Lamborghini Diablo model off the top of my head, but I can't do one for a fucking navy blue sedan. Maybe it's okay, yeah. It's a 83 Ford Sudan. Just like
It's just some shitty-ass Camry.
yeah, just like one of those fucking the actual name of it is Sudan. Yes. It's a Sudan sedan.
Classy.
Oh, only 3 were ever made.
Yeah. Exactly. You've done my work for me. I love it.
So so this is where Saddam's money went in. Instead of WMDs, he's making crappy cars.
So, the address to the, whatchamacallit, fuck, I should be reading
The
that.
church, the building you're standing right next to. Which a car pinned him against, and which you all are still standing outside after firing gunshots.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we load him up, try and find his car, and then get out of here.
Yeah, that's probably,
There are people peeking their head outside in obvious interest of the shenanigans that have been taking place here.
I mean, I fired
Yeah.
one shot.
No, just get the corpse in the van and drive off.
Yeah,
Seriously, the
sure.
faster we go, the less they'll remember us.
Yeah, check his body in there. I've got the arm.
Who's got the
Byron,
head?
Byron, hide your face.
The head is everywhere.
The head is everywhere.
So, looking around, do we see the car?
And sort of a quick thing, yeah, you sure do. It's further on down the block, but it is one of those 83 Ford Sudan sedans.
Do one of you guys want to get it, or should I?
Byron, do you know how to...
I have 2 decks and no driving skill, but I can probably keep it pointed straight as long as I don't have to, chew gum at the same time.
I'm probably better. I've got 3 decks.
For the purposes of actually attempting to pilot a vehicle, even with no skill points in drive, you would have to make skill checks for that at a -1 for even the simplest of tasks.
But
Right.
just kind of driving it, right? Not.
Oh, wait.
Right?
This car's probably pretty wrecked. I mean, is it even still drivable?
Well,
Depends on how hard I hit the building with it.
you floored the gas pretty hard, but I mean, the vehicle's still serviceable. There's a dent in the church, but that's nothing that the donations of the the helpful won't fix.
There's also a big blood splatter on the church.
That's probably more usual. That's more run of the mill.
And smears of greasy ash where Byron blew off his head.
I'll take the new car. If you don't mind, I'd rather have something that's in a little bit more good condition, considering I'm probably a lot worse than you at driving.
That's fine. Where do you want me to stash this car? It shouldn't be left out on the street.
At this point, I really don't give a... if we wanted to...
It has
I don't
course
know.
in the trunk.
Figure
The
out
chat is
somewhere.
correct. The van has been flipped over.
Yeah, that was hours ago.
Yeah, that flipped over van was left behind in the Bronx. You have here
No,
your remains. Okay.
I thought you said that that this guy, when he just in a burst of strength flips this van over.
Oh, right.
Ooh, very good. You see, I must be getting tired as well and forgetting things. I knew there was a reason I had them along. Yeah, fucking thing's on its side.
Okay,
Can I push it
then
back over? Even just a few of us working together, can we push it back onto its wheels?
Sure, Joseph's not going to be a whole lot of help, but you three in your vampire powers combined can certainly exert enough strength to get it back. Obviously, things have been scattered a bit in disarray. There might be a beloved tape cassette that you had in there that has been fucked
Whatever.
up a bit.
We're not going to be able to keep this car anyway.
We're gonna have to burn the car.
Oh no, we're
Yeah.
not going to burn it. We're going to report it stolen, hopefully get it cataloged as evidence in the 114th, and have it sort of rust away in an impound lot.
Maybe it would be best to leave it,
Actually, no.
Oh.
That's you're right. Let's wipe down the inside real quick. Leave it here with the keys in it, and go.
Yeah, stick his body in one of the other ones. That way we've only got 2 cars, and I'm not trying to drive us into a wall.
Yeah. Okay. I'll drive the blue sedan back. We'll leave this here. Have Craig call and report that someone broke into the car and crashed into the church. Have the police come. Have them deal with it. Bing bang bosh.
Yeah, do note that we probably don't have to wipe down the whole thing. Just like the steering wheel, someone that had stolen the car would wipe down, because everything
Exactly.
else. Yeah.
I'm not so worried about having my fingerprints on it. I mean, I've got legit reason to have my
No,
fingerprints all over the fucking thing.
Exactly. And then we get the fuck out of here. We take all of our weapons and we go.
I'd like to mention out of this, Marcus actually hasn't done anything wrong this entire time, so
No, he hasn't, but we have.
yeah, so he's just sitting there watching you guys going like, I should help by sitting here.
You should actually put the rifle somewhere that's not visible.
Yeah, it's in the back seat and the floor.
In fact, you should start heading back to Astoria. You don't need to be here anymore.
I guess I'll drive away.
Okay.
They look like they've got a handle on the situation. I'm just
So yeah,
gonna
we're
go
going
back.
to load up into the blue Sudan sedan and
With the body
drive
and
out
arm.
of there. And as we're leaving, I'll suggest that Jove call up Craig and have him call the cops. Because some crazy shit just went down outside the church.
You might not have to do that with the dozen or so spectators whose attention you attracted in all sorts of buildings around the church.
It's more to have the act on record of the fact that one of the people who works the church called.
Right.
Throw suspicion other directions.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that you've been disguised this whole time.
It's certainly a very good thing that your appearance would have been unrecognizable to any of these spectators, Joseph.
I'm actually thinking, do I have legitimate ties to the company? I remember we talked about it before where I said I was pretending I was alive. Still?
You
Do
know,
I have legitimate ties to the company?
Like the real estate thing?
Yeah, the real estate company.
I don't know. The description that I was given from you guys whenever we decided on this was a little nebulous on my part. I know that David was certainly trying to keep in the shadows, and I thought Byron and Marcus were as well. Although I know Joseph was maintaining his facade of pretending to be alive, I assumed that he didn't want his name precisely connected to this, so he wouldn't end up getting, his door knocked on by police in regards to potential bombing happening at the real estate office.
Well, I mean, on the other hand, having a actual name attached to the company does dissuade some suspicion if anything goes wrong.
Well, Evelyn O'Malley's name is attached. It's all stuff that's put in her name.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, it's your call whether or not I am. But if I am, this would be a perfect time to actually fake my death in the mortal world.
I think it'd be weird if you were pretending to be alive, because then they'd have all these meetings that you can't go to during the day.
Right.
That's not a decision that I'm going to be making. It's a decision that would be more for your characters.
Okay, so can I go ahead and say that I had legitimate ties to the company? If anyone objects.
Well, it's not exactly it was a big thing. It was just possible that maybe you're like some sort of salesman working on commission as a priest, The priest salesman working on a commission.
Who knows? Maybe was some tie to I don't know.
All right, but if you want your official death to end up being registered in such a situation like this, it's possible. I'm sure there could end up being DNA evidence remnant at the office that would link you in. And of course, you have to consider right now, I suppose we'll get into this discussion right now, this would have ramifications about, say, the fact that you have a church here. If you died, what happens to it?
I'd assume that I had it set up past to Craig or Rain. I own the church, so it passed to them because I legitimately care for them. So if I did hit final death, I'd want.
I'm not sure church buildings work exactly like that.
Well, I mean, it depends on what denomination he is and whether or not there's a large clergy that organizes things in a bureaucracy.
Right, I'm not actually affiliated with any denomination. I am not a Protestant, or I'm not what's the term? I'd be registered through the state as a non-denominational priest, but I wouldn't need anything more than a bachelor's or in
theology.
some associated, theology.
We'll resolve this at a more opportune situation where we're not 6.5 hours into a session.
Well, and while we're not, speeding away into Astoria.
Yes.
Yeah, that probably.
All right, folks. So in that case, what happens now?
That depends. Does keeping the arm, will that cost me a humanity? Will keeping it as a trophy cost me a humanity?
That's kind of weird, bro.
That is kind of weird.
Byron thinks that's awesome because, man, he's pretty psyched that he blew that guy's head off.
The only person who is actually at legitimate risk of humanity is Byron, and I didn't make him roll for it, so I suppose it's gonna be awfully macabre, and the thing is definitely going to deteriorate. But I mean,
it's gonna smell.
If you want an arm, bro, you're a Malkavian. You did stab that one guy in the spine.
We've got some macabre stuff going on in the Sudan and Greenwich.
But you're not in Greenwich.
I know, but I just wanted to tie that all in. Beautiful.
Okay, so what happens now?
Now
Back to the new place?
Yeah, back to the new place. Call up Vargas, give him the information. Get him to track this bitch down.
Vargas is non-responsive. He's
Fuck.
he's not answering.
I think we've used him too much recently. You're going to have to wait a bit.
I mean, I imagine that he's got some pretty big stuff going on right now. I can call him during the day if you guys want.
It's probably for the best.
No, he'd probably not know you as well, so that probably won't work too.
Probably not.
Well, the person he knew out of all of us was David, so...
Yep.
Speaking of which, we need something with his body too.
Would Vargas know enough to take information from Evelyn passed on by us?
You don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely he knows who Evelyn is, but I don't know if he would take order. Well, I don't know, he wouldn't take orders regardless, but we could try it, I guess.
I mean, honestly, thinking honestly, telling him that these are the guys that have attacked us would probably, I mean, I'm not sure he'd pass the information on to us. He may be pissed at us to the point where he's not going to help us at all. But passing that information on to him will benefit him too. I mean, it's assuming he wants to actually keep the precinct safe.
Here's the thing. I was thinking that we could have Evelyn hand him a big manila envelope with the burner phone, the driver's license, and a written letter by Byron saying, "We found these on one of the men that attacked us." Signed, Byron. You know, just a way of passing it on to him.
Yeah, I don't know if Byron wants to sign his name to it, but he would definitely have Evelyn pass that on.
So after calling in one major favor in the hopes that he would perhaps finagle the fact that deaths occurred, an attempt to perhaps fake your own deaths in this building when the bomb exploded, you now wish to try to stack more favors on top of an already frustrated man.
In terms of giving him leads.
It's, I mean, like... The whole fact is the fact that he understands that this would not have happened were it not for these fucking vampires or whatever the hell they are.
Fair enough. In that case, do you guys want me to go check this place out during the day?
Yes.
Check what place out? You're gonna drive into Jersey City?
During the day? I might. Do you guys want me to? This is what I'm paid to do.
Yeah, I don't see, unless you can think of another option. I don't...
See,
I mean, yeah.
You will know, Jermaine, well, all the vampires will know this to begin with, that ghouls do keep an eye out of all the major bridges, both between the boroughs themselves and in and out of the cities, particularly with infrared scanners to keep track of vampire movement. That happens between the boroughs themselves. For you to be actually leaving Camarilla territory itself and to be heading to the fact where the Sabbat are still very much in control, even though it might be a little shaky in Jersey City. Instead of Camarilla ghouls, you'd be dealing with Sabbat ghouls.
Well, I don't really have to worry about infrared, but...
You would not.
Right. But that's still a good point. Are the ferries that well watched?
They could be. Has your character ever had cause to perhaps hop on ferries to cross state lines?
For the most part, I don't think so. You know, this might be a good place to end it at the end of this evening so that we can actually think of a plan for next time. Now we actually have options.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Indeed so. And finally, the session after a very long one, 6.5 hours, as we'll take the key out and bring the car to a halt after we take the key out, because that's how that works.
Nope.
You pull the key out while it's going.
So, a final wrap-up here. How are you all handling the remnants of what just transpired right here? There is a dead vampire that Byron blew the head off of him. You have a car that got flipped on its side, but you straightened up. You have a
Joseph?
incident that happened back there at the church.
Joseph's sticking the arm in a freezer. He wants to keep that.
Marcus?
You're gonna have to. You might have to buy a proper freezer for this empty a relatively empty place. You might not have had a working freezer kept in here for someone to come in.
Events of late have been entirely too interesting for Germain's taste, but he can clearly see why these 3 vampires were in need of a mercenary.
Marcus is a little ticked off that he did that. Everyone else in the party has, well, the coterie has had their, little revenge against their enemies, and he's just like, all I did was sit in a car.
You did get out and name of the man. Byron blew his head off.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hey, you had that vengeance against Mario, man. Come on.
I did have the glorious fisticuffs.
Glorious.
Yeah, Byron was pretty psyched actually about blowing that guy's head off. I mean, he wanted to keep him alive. He regrets that, but after the fact, he's like, man, did you see how I shot that fucker's head off?
So, how's the rest of the coterie and Germain responding to Byron in light of, his effusive self-adulation?
If I acted that way every time I killed a vampire, I'm pretty sure someone would have killed me.
We wanted to keep him alive. Or less dead.
So
Yeah,
yeah, in a way, Byron, you fucked up.
Well, I mean, I wanted to keep him alive too. Heck, I wouldn't even chop off his arm. But if he's gonna go down, man, that was awesome.
I'm actually pretty pleased about cutting off the arm. That was cool. I wish I hadn't made him frenzy, but...
Think about it. What are the odds that you as a vampire might gotten fucking pissed if someone took off your arm?
I'd be pretty mad. I used that arm for things.
Alright. What about the rest of the body, and what about Joseph's car? What happens to that? What does Germain do with that?
Well, Joseph's car, we were leaving at the church, right?
Okay. It was being left
What?
at the church.
Yeah, we were wiping it down and having Craig call it in as someone having jacked the car and driven it into the church.
Okay.
As for the body, not sure. I'm actually planning on asking these vampires if they have a good place to dump a corpse. Or what remains of a corpse.
Well, there is the East River right there.
That there is, and it doesn't have any flesh to make it float. Right? Like, for the most part.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
So-
unless you know where an incinerator is off the top of your head that you can use, River's probably the best place for it.
That's what all the major criminals in New York City do. They use the river, and you see how well that works out for them on Law and Order, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you go by law and order, that's a pretty bad idea.
Will the body still react to them?
It's difficult to say exactly how vampire physiology works, particularly after the vampire is no longer there.
You want to experiment and find out?
I just want to throw the thing in. I just want to throw the thing in the East River and be done with it.
That's fine with me.
Well, I mean, seriously, throwing it in the river, if someone digs it out, then there's shit. If just sticking it in sunlight will get rid of it. Well, I guess if
It
we throw it
might
in the
not
river.
get rid of it. Then there's a corpse out in the middle. Then there's a corpse out.
Yeah, I'd rather just load the bones up into a duffel bag and chuck the duffel bag in the river.
All right.
Well, if you can carry in the morning, if you can just carry it outside and stick it out real quick, see if it
No,
turns
sure.
to ash.
No, actually, I'd rather chuck it out. You know what?
We're
we don't need
chucking
to get
it right
rid of
now.
it immediately. I will load it up into the duffel bag for now. Expose it to the sunlight in the morning, somewhere private, like up on the roof or something.
When you do that, it instantly disintegrates into ash,
All right, there we go.
as does the arm.
Cool.
Aww.
That was kind of weird, bro.
The arm that Joseph wanted to keep, he just like opens the freezer. I have you. What? Jermaine.
That's fucking bullshit.
Dumb. Alright. Okay. And in that case, it's up to you 4-player characters to discuss the plans that you want to make, what steps you want to take going forward, and how many days you want to pass. Of course, I'll end up doing dice rolls, and I'll respond to you all with results over the course of the week. In that case, then we'll just say session over. How do your characters feel about everything that's transpired, and what are they looking at going forward from now?
Marcus feels vindicated that they were able to get revenge on this whoever's fucking with them, but he's kind of worried that, okay, we've killed one of them, now they're gonna come back harder.
But with one less.
And they don't know it was us, because there are no witnesses unless they question the neighborhood, but unless they recognize Byron, what are they going to say?
I'm pretty sure they're going to put 2 and 2 together.
Yeah,
if they can't figure it out, it's us. They would not have been able to pull off what they did so far at all anyways.
Yeah, all the fingers going to point to us. There's no surprise there.
It's worth noting that in the car, that in Dante Avant's car that you brought back with you, there ended up being some sort of temporary license plate thing on the back of it that could be traced back to some sort of dealership over in Jersey City as well. Also ended up being some hip-hop tape decks, cassettes rather, had a dangling set of gold dice hanging off the mirror there, the rearview mirror, and there was some amateurish explosive packing material. None of you are familiar with this sort of thing, but looking at the various sorts of ingredients and volatile compounds, this may be the person who set the bomb.
Yeah, Byron is quite pleased with himself that he was able to shoot that guy, of all those guys.
Actually, at this point, since we know that the attackers are from Jersey, would it be fair to inform the sheriff that we've been fighting against a Sabbat incursion?
I would think so.
I'm asking that, to you as well, Grimith. Would that be the sort of thing where now it becomes a good idea to inform the sheriff instead of complaining at him?
Certainly the more mounting evidence you have in such a situation and case, the better the information would end up being if you're going to take up the sheriff's valuable time. If you have legitimate cause of, a clear vampire who came through Jersey City and who attacked as well, you also have the evidence backing the fact that the domain of these kindred here was bombed.
Right.
Okay,
I think we have enough info to go do that.
So it would be reasonable to, at this point, at least inform the sheriff.
Yes, even Jermaine the Ghoul would certainly think that it would be a reasonable enough situation.
Hell, I'm the one with influence. I might be the one who goes in front of him.
The influence is mortal in nature, I believe. Status is what pertains to kindred.
Is it? I was thinking that the influence would be indicative of being reasonably well-liked.
Yeah, influence is mortal pull.
Could I switch that over to status then, or is it a bit too late for that?
Well, I thought we had gone over exactly how your status didn't end up applying.
See, I thought that status more represented, ranking, whereas influence represented your actual pull.
To be fair, you don't exactly rank that high in kindred society because you're a ghoul.
Oh, I know. I was thinking influence more in terms of just being liked and known by people that I had formerly worked for. If not, I understand.
Well, if you're going to say if not, I understand, then we'll just go ahead and say no.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, one of us certainly should do that. Byron will go. That'll be interesting. That'll be a fun conversation.
So you want to split up and separate into individuals again now.
No.
Fantastic.
It's a terrible idea. We should all go together.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think everyone. Anyway, yeah, we should probably do that more sooner than later. But the problem is that Elysium we went to at the beginning of this session was empty, and so how long is it going to take to get in touch with this guy? I mean, not like we can call him up on the phone.
We can try each night while we're still working on our other stuff. We might even have more information by the time we finally get in contact with him.
Sheriff is going to be a big enough deal that you would end up role-playing that counter out in character. That would not be handled off-session.
Oh, I'm sure. This is more just things we have planned.
Right.
Yeah, I really think we'll probably end up starting the very next night. I mean,
Yeah, in that case, yeah, you'll be able to get a hold of the sheriff as soon as the sun sets again.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Also, I'm thinking it's going to be hilarious if and when David wakes up and he's been out for this entire crisis. You know?
Yeah, it's I was actually thinking during the session, it's like, man, if we all die, and then a month later, he wakes up, it's like, wait, what? Where'd everyone go?
Alright, in that case, your 4 characters spend the rest of the night into the morning, sort of reliving what just transpired, going over the little information you know, searching Dante's car, and formulating your plans. Alright, that's a complete session wrap-up then. In light of everything that's transpired, certainly the activities of the group, and in light of the long session as well, 4 experience points for each of your characters.
Woohoo! I have a question. Does that include the ghoul?
Ghoul is earning, yeah, Jermaine's going to be earning 4 experience points.
Just making sure.
I mean, it can't go to David.
No, David's can't improve right now. He's a bit busy. At this point, for you 4 players, questions about the session, comments, if you have any complaints or frustrations, that was a personal fault of mine.
I actually thought it went really well.
I did as well. I will
Same
mention
here.
something. One thing Byron would mention to you all at some point is that next time we find one of these guys, if we do, leave him non-frenzied because he has a 3rd dot in Dominate, as you know from the chat. But he can totally make them forget they ever met us if we want to question them hard.
Good to know.
Assuming he didn't botch it.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to get, I have the page open right here. It's something like, I think he needs 3 to be reasonably certain that it'll get done, 3 successes. And fewer than that, it's kind of, wibbly-wobbly,
Jermaine will ask if any of the rest of you have any noteworthy powers that he should be aware of, aside from what you've already shown him.
Well, I mean, what does Jermaine assume everyone has?
Well, I think that you mentioned the whole aura thing earlier. He saw the shape-shifting and the invisibility, and now he's been informed about Dominate.
Well, I mean, you can reasonably assume at, either at Foriad or at, from Match's thing.
I don't know about that. Just, in his line of work, it might be dangerous to assume anything.
It is.
Well, basically, Marcus would then say, I just know a little bit of celerity and potence, that's it.
Good to know.
Other than making sure he understands the full extent of obfuscate, which shouldn't take much. No, nothing that I know that's useful.
All right, then.
Yeah, I mean, as Byron said, he has the 3 dots in Dominate. He would, say what powers is, and, Jermaine would figure out what the powers were, I guess. And, yeah, he has 1 dot in Presence, but I don't know if that's, he'll mention that he has that he can convince people that way, He can awe them.
Okay. Yeah, what do you think your characters have have learned about the session, and suppose in terms of like what you feel that they might have practiced over the course of the session.
I brought up before in the chat with you about learning demontation. I got a week of training in that, assuming I did find someone to train me.
Oh,
Right.
I completely forgot about your desire for doing that. I thought you were so busy looking at so many of the other points on your list, like well, everything else that was mentioned at the beginning of the session. I completely forgot about it.
No, I wanted to start learning that as soon as I could. I wasn't planning on spending the points. I was planning on having spent more points anywhere. But the way things are going, I think a dot of demontation would be the best bet. It's completely up to you whether I even learned anything.
Such a short amount of time, and considering a recent events, I think you might not have regular access to someone who would be able to teach you things until things calm down a bit more.
I mean, if you guys want to learn Auspex, there is a teacher right here.
But not even Marcus can do that in one day.
True.
Yeah, it's definitely on Byron's list. I mean, I sent Grimith a huge thing of what potential things. I mean, right away for Byron, what he would be looking at is like a point in alertness, just because he's been getting so many perception checks, and he had that triple 10 session or two ago. And also, I guess presence 2, which is that dread gaze or whatever it's called. But he hasn't used presence that much, except at the middleman and one other time. Well, actually, every time was at the middleman, technically. So whether he's used that enough is debatable. But after that, definitely Auspex is on the top of his list.
What did Jermaine learn?
He
He
learned
learned about what capacities everyone has, what he shouldn't interrupt with. Like, for example, that he should have let Byron handle the interrogation. And he learned that these guys really did need a mercenary.
And, okay.
I mean, between the crazy giant laser beam thing and getting their office blown up.
Right. And of course, what exactly did Joseph Chung learn over the course of this session?
I'm actually wondering. He learned. Give me a moment to think about that. He learned that he should probably buy a few more cars.
Alright, so perhaps investment into maybe being able to get like a combo deal or something.
Welcome to Joseph Chung's used cars.
Yep. Alright. I'll go ahead and take a look at the chat to answer their questions before Jordan, who's been broadcasting this out of the kindness of his heart, finally wraps things up. Martin Lucas Ward asks, will we see more lasers firing? Perhaps. There's a lot of activity that happened in the session. How do the four of you feel about what transpired at the Muncie Hudson Expediting and Storage Building?
I want to know what the fuck that thing is.
Man, that place smelled jank nasty.
Yeah, Byron has no good memories of that place. He didn't, open his mouth much or smell much, but it was nasty. Even he could see that. And buildings that have lasers shooting out of them, Byron's not a fan of that either.
Can we get lasers shooting out of our building?
No shit. That's what Byron wants. Where do we get the laser fire?
So definitely don't just thank me, Dantos. All the players are responsible for telling the story. All that I do is set the scaffolding in which they end up working. They're the ones who write everything.
And sometimes we as the players knock his scaffolding over.
It is a factual statement. I end up getting flustered from time to time, like the ones. How do you all feel about the fact that I decided that Crimson's bots there with Byron just killed the guy?
I liked it. The thing I didn't like about it is I wasn't quick enough on the take because I would have, going back, we'll just retcon this in, that Byron was just so fired up. He's just like pissed off and he's just aimed right at his head. And it was a botch in the sense of the story, but we're going to say he wanted that fucker dead. And so he's like, suck on that bitch or something.
Yeah. I said at the beginning of the session I wanted you bastards in final death, and here we are.
There you go. There you go. He's definitely feeling vindicated. So,
Just a quick question. Is willpower okay?
Sure. This is an affirmation of the of the continuation of the fact that you guys succeeded pretty fucking well here. Certainly you've continued to exercise your willpower.
I'm just going to be saving my experience points up so I can get a second dot of celerity, because I think that's the most important.
And what is it looking like? You things, based on the roles you're making, or that, things that your characters might be like, oh shit, maybe I should probably learn that, or perhaps you as players.
Awareness is always good.
And apparently alertness as well. I make you all do a perception plus alertness a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I have 2 dots in that. I don't need any more. I'm good.
I'm considering upgrading drive a little bit. I used that a few times this session.
I'm sorry, Chad and Grimith. I'm going to have to leave here soon.
It's perfectly fine, Jordan.
Yeah.
This session dragged on for a long time anyway.
Yeah, I'm just giving you a minor heads up.
I might want to move stuff melee at some point, too.
Well,
yeah, I think I'm going to pop off now. I'm going to see you guys later.
Alright, Jordan, take care.
See ya.
Have a good night.
User disconnected from your channel.
Now, Byron definitely, he might be starting to think he needs a crash course in how to work these infernal computers from Evelyn or somebody to get a point at this point.
Does he have a point in firearms?
He does. He has a single point.
It'd be enough so that he could actually fire the gun without the -1 penalty.
Right.
No. But no, I thought about it. I was like, it could hit the car. Nah, it's not fun. It could just be rendered completely inert. No, they'll just pick up another gun. That's dumb. It could hit the ghoul. That's a terrible idea. I don't like that either. This is the only backup character Aaron's getting. What if we... I know what they're planning to do here. We're trying to keep this guy alive so they can get information. Let's just reel that.
No, I think it was the perfect answer. I actually thought you were going to have us, like, blow the car up or shoot through the wall, but that was so much better.
Yeah, it's really what a botch is for, to actually be something horrible that happens.
Yeah.
So next time, you'll just have to take the shotgun away from Byron, because obviously he can't be trusted with firearms.
It's just like he's like eyeing the shotgun, and Jermaine's like, no. Holds up the axe handle he broke. Pat.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably not going to let Byron have any heavy-duty firepower anymore.
And then Byron's like, you do realize that I'm the one who gave you the point of blood, right?
He has to
Okay, in
save
that
me
case,
from myself.
he'll sell him the shotgun. Reimburse me for material costs, you know?
That's right, Dude Man here is gonna have to be reimbursed for the axe.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna have to be reimbursed for that one shotgun shell. I'm gonna have to be reimbursed for the axe handle. Just some basic stuff.
One shotgun shell, I'm pretty sure that Byron has that in his wallet.
Oh, no, totally. I'm just going to keep track of this to be repaid at the end of the month.
Right, that makes sense.
Oh, beyond that, holy fuck, The reason why I told you I didn't think combat would happen is I didn't think the session would go on for 6.5 hours.
Yeah, they usually end about, around 8-ish, I guess.
Yeah, 4.5, 5 hours.
Yeah.
It's certainly longer than the 3 to 9 time slot I told the volunteers to keep open. But you guys kept busy, and although Jordan thought that a break would be the rest of you, I think rightly, came to the conclusion that we're not going to have more information to work on without doing something.
Definitely. I like the place that this session stopped at. I think it's kind of a cliffhanger in a sense, and so that's really cool.
I mean, I could have had the cliffhanger happen, and you spot Dante there right on the outside of the church. All right, session over. What?
We might have come up with a better battle plan if you did that, though.
True.
I might have too.
That's true.
And maybe he wouldn't have rolled a 1 on his initiative.
All in all, I actually really liked the way that battle went because it really had the feel of desperate, stupid, brutal violence. You know?
It's not like you all had a legitimate chance of losing that encounter in terms of the sense, like, he's no Aaron, he's no David Green, rather. He couldn't have easily overpowered all of you, although he's certainly stronger than David.
He could have done some damage on the way down.
The only thing he had the opportunity to fuck up was the car.
Despite all of the damage to people's blood pools that David did, and all of the damage to, like, the office and stuff, he didn't end up really hurting anyone.
No, he did not.
He just dramatically drained everyone's resources, which fucked them over in the next fight.
You guys really got out. You ultimately ended up not spending any blood points at all, except for the ones required to rise over the course of the day.
Yeah, I'm obviously not going to spend any if I can avoid it.
Right.
Yeah, it's had Byron not shot that guy's head off, he might have thrown some points into stamina, just so he didn't get his butt kicked. But
that's why that point of potence. Not potence, sorry, fortitude.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder if a ghoul can teach me fortitude.
Ghouls cannot teach disciplines.
I didn't figure.
That said, an independent ghoul can learn the 3 physical disciplines without a tutor.
Mm-hmm. They're so inherent in part of the blood, they can certainly do that.
Which means if I ever build up enough experience points, I might just pick up celerity, just because it makes sense for Jermaine, given his goals.
The problem is that just how expensive getting a new discipline would be for
it's
you.
really expensive. Isn't it 20 experience points?
As for the situation pertaining to Joseph being alive or dead, I would just say that there might be some difficulty involved in the finagling of things, and if Joseph were actually registered as dead. If his name was tied to not just the the church, but the business as well, O'Malley Real Estate. Even if he wasn't like a key player, it'd be sort of like an interesting link of, apparently he was on some sort of commission as a consultant for this real estate agency while being a priest of a non-denominational church. I wonder what's up with that.
True, but he's got it at some point. But the connection, I'll see if I can think of a way to make a legitimate thing to see if there's a connection there.
Yeah, I think the extra time will certainly help in that regard.
Oh, and out of character, do you guys want to kind of get an idea of Jermaine's motivation, or would you rather be kept in the dark about that like you would be in character?
I actually was going to ask repeatedly, going to ask about his background. Just never got a chance to. I mean, we're so busy with everything else.
Well, it's less about his background per se and more about his goals.
Yeah, it's I mean, whether or not you want to tell us, I'm fine either way. I actually intended. There's like I think 3 or 4 times where I made a mental note to ask to talk to Jermaine about that. Joseph would want to talk to him, get a feel for him. But there was so much happening that each time he thought, okay, this is a good time, there was something else to do.
Well, and this will probably be something that Germain will reveal during the downtime upcoming, because it's
All
not,
the downtime of a day.
I mean, that's really all the time it takes.
Yeah, you guys will have several hours before dawn will rise, of course, and as soon as the night rises again, you're interested in going after the sheriff. Take him
Right,
out.
so this isn't actually any big secret of his, but he's looking for someone to embrace him, and he's planning on shopping around, trying to find a good sire, and giving them a pretty hefty bribe in order to make sure that they don't just leave him for dead.
That was actually one of the questions that I certainly wanted to ask him was, did he want to be embraced? If so, did he have any ideas about that?
Absolutely. He's looking for a relatively low generation vampire to embrace him. And by relatively, I mean like in the context of New York City, there aren't that many low generation vampires.
Right, you're looking at a situation where the best you could possibly dream for here was a 10th gen.
So if he ever in any way finds out what Byron's generation is, he's probably going to be offering a pretty enormous bribe.
Yeah, but of course, Byron's never going to willingly let this let that go. So Jermaine's, I mean, he can put 2 and 2 together. If he sees Byron do something that he couldn't have done, like the blood point pool, like 3 at once, or
Right.
something.
And he doesn't know yet. But if and when he does, he is going to offer Byron all of his current resources, which is 3 dots of resources representing a hedge fund.
It would take a considerable amount of time to liquefy that, particularly if it were a slow
Right.
liquefaction, trying to preserve
Right.
as much of it as possible.
Absolutely. I mean, this would be something that he would arrange well in advance. Like, he would actually go through the process of arranging it, putting it in escrow, and just making sure that the only way that Byron would get his hands on it is if he succeeded in embracing him. But then he would get it in totality.
Right. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm looking forward to that, actually. Who knows what Byron? Oh, poor Byron.
But yeah, I mean, that's something that'll only happen if and when he gets an idea of the fact that Byron is, like, damn.
Yeah. Also, there's, Byron kind of was derpy out there shooting, but of course he just wants the blood. He doesn't care about I get it. But he's a Ventru. Seems like your guy might want a Bruja or something like that.
Why?
Fair enough.
Well, there's going to be a severe difficulty in attempting to pursue this. Byron cannot exsanguinate Germain.
Ah. So he would have to get someone else to exsanguinate him.
I mean, just for comparison here, since we're revealing that character knowledge, Dave, Germain has an appearance of 1.
I'm not a pretty
All right.
person.
Yeah.
I mean, just in the face alone, that's jacked up by a pretty damn hefty scar.
He's not the sort of person that you couldn't drink his blood. It would be physically impossible for you to do so.
Right. I mean, if you were around 3 or something, I'd say maybe you could attempt it and maybe puke a few times. Yeah, 1's impossible, definitely.
Yeah, I'd have to get someone else in on that, like Marcus or Match. Actually, that would be a perfect person to have.
I didn't read the rules and I forgot whether Marcus mentioned. Did he have to drink drunk people's blood, or was that addiction just he has to get drunk by drinking people's blood occasionally?
The addiction is that the only mortal blood he can imbibe must be tainted with alcohol.
So it's...
Yeah, you automatically frenzy if you drink blood that's not tainted with it.
He that's limited to mortals, so that he can imbibe other blood. To my knowledge, I believe that's how his addiction works. It'd be unfortunate if he couldn't drink vampiric vitae either. But that's how the other things get around too. For example, Byron can circumnavigate his Ventru weaknesses by drinking non-human vitae, which in this case would be vampiric, because certainly his blue blood would not allow him from drinking from a blood bag, or a rat, or a dog, or any sort of animal. He has to drink specifically from his genre or from vampires.
So if events ever progress such that Jermaine tries to get Byron to embrace him, he'll probably call in a favor from Match to have Match be the one to drain him dry.
Something else to remember, currently no prince and no way to ask for someone for permission, so that's a problem in and of itself.
Yes, the siring of children has been outlawed for so long as, until a new prince comes. That's not to say you can't do it, and there are probably vampires here within the city who have done it within the past year, only that it would end up being another dark and unfortunate secret.
There is one thing, and I was just thinking of this. In terms of exsanguinating, I mean, there are methods to do that for like embalming and that type of stuff. So it might be possible without somebody else, but it might not be fast enough to keep the body warm, which is a requirement.
Actually, the Ventru weakness doesn't say you can't drink my blood. It just says you will vomit it up afterwards. It offers no sustenance.
I would have to say that if Grimith even allowed it, it would need some sort of roll really high.
He would have to basically constantly spend willpower points to force his body to do that.
Not a self-control roll?
I would make him spend willpower. Sort of like whenever your automatic action would be to leap from a patch of sunlight, or to quickly scurry away from a ledge.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think
legitimately
I was just saying, I think self-control might be okay if it's like if you're at least even average, but you're one ugly mofo, so.
So in that case, it would cost him what, 3 points of willpower to do 7 points of drain.
I might end up having him do that, maybe not instead of every turn, but every few turns, and just something of that nature. Have him ultimately spend 2 or 3 willpower points. Yeah.
Really, that wouldn't be too much of a problem though, because I'm sure that it wouldn't be too difficult to get.
And sorry, go ahead.
To get one of us to help with that, to sanguinate him.
Humanity roll would also be required.
It really depends on whether the bribe would be sufficient.
Let's see. Also, apparently, the addiction flaw is such that what Marcus suffers from, the blood is not limited. Any blood he drinks has to contain alcohol, whether it's animal, or vampiric, or mortal.
And now I'm imagining him being vodka to a cow or something.
Yeah, how much was that flaw? Was that like a 4-point flaw?
It's a 3-point flaw. So yeah, in exchange, I know Joseph there has a prey exclusion flaw, which basically means he can't hunt a certain type of prey. If he ever does, bad things will happen. If he ever sees anyone doing it, he'll have to control himself or bad things will happen.
You know that like Wagyu and like Kobe cows, they feed sake to every day. Now, I'm not
Yeah,
saying that Marcus should move to Japan. I'm just saying they have drunk animals there.
yeah, but I mean, like, how much alcohol do they feed them? It's probably not enough to get a cow completely wasted enough to actually count as drunk.
It's a bottle every day.
Yeah, I mean, but what's size
It certainly have alcohol in the bloodstream, but the cow is only like worth 5 blood points of sustenance if you completely exsanguinate it normally.
That's true.
And it's definitely not as delicious as human blood is.
What are you talking about? That's like the finest beef in the world. I'm joking, obviously.
Eh.
Yep.
So,
Well, anyway, that'll be interesting forward. If we get into combat again, I think that's the best place that Tremaine will have to see what Byron can do.
sure. But yeah, that's the main reason why he has a hefty charge for his services. And I think that this is going to be well earned at this rate.
He's certainly going to be kept busy, man.
Yeah, it's only what, day 3 now, and you've already had a laser shot at, well, in your general vicinity, a building blow up, and saw a vampire's head blown off. You cut an arm off. Yeah, it's been a full weekend for you, I think.
Go ahead and change that point of influence back to status to exhibit the fact that maybe you've been an effective ghoul and at least partially acknowledged. Although, of course, status will denote you both perhaps positive reputation as well as negative reputation, particularly if anyone who's Sabat recognizes you.
Well, I mean, it'll definitely make me recognized as a ghoul as well.
Yes. It's peculiar that a ghoul would actually have, be a recognized person at all, but you'd at the very least be known, which I think is more than any of these other characters can say with their reputation and local kindred society, except for Byron, which is unconvinced.
Yeah.
That was really the idea of that single dot. The idea is that I'm relatively well known as a mercenary for vampires, and that working with this group in this capacity is really just the latest in a fairly long career of this.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, Byron's got more of the notoriety thing going. They don't have a setting for that.
So, did you all not know that the primary symbol for Clan Zamitzi was an Ouroboros?
Oh, I did out of character.
Yeah, I did as well.
See, I figured that would be something that would have been known, like, since I first showed one off in the first session.
Oh yeah, no, I totally got
remember
that. Especially with the flesh Ouroboros that David had a hold of.
Yeah.
And he was going to investigate that until it turned to fucking ash.
Oh, you did
I
show that around. So Byron would have known about that. I just never thought of making a roll. I didn't know that he knew that because I only remembered the stuff Marcus saw in the mist, and since Byron never saw it firsthand, I just figured he wouldn't have put 2 and 2 together there.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't really have an opportunity to look at it closely and make occult rolls and stuff before it was gone.
I have found at least one way to make the Ouroboros appear in every session thus far, which I'm sure you've all noticed.
I have.
I'm sure it's not a big deal or anything.
No!
That's actually the reason why I, picked my regnant.
Yeah, spoiler.
Oh yeah. But I like your character, Jermaine. I like this guy.
Yeah, I tried to make him useful in combat, but still clearly different from David.
He's certainly better looking.
Way better looking.
Well, I mean, way better looking in the fact that he has one more appearance point than David.
That's way better looking. That's like saying that a person who has one strength is way better at running than a paralyzed person.
Exactly.
Fair enough, fair enough. I thought the role-playing situation handled that pretty well. I, of course, am going to keep trying to browbeat you all into doing more stuff in character as the sessions continue.
Right, right.
Yeah, I'll be the first to admit that I have not. I role-played the impatient thing a lot in the first session, and I just kind of forgot about it. So I'm actually glad you brought it up.
Yeah, you definitely did with the whole situation, and I wasn't thinking of the time to have you make a self-control roll or anything to tear off on your own, but I figured for the purposes of this, since you guys are going to be sitting around and waiting, I was like, you know what? Byron's not the type to sit back and wait, especially after all the shit that's happened. Fuck it!
Oh, definitely.
And, so fuck it was said, and, laughs were had. By me.
Well, I enjoyed it too because even I, out of character, was thinking, man, it's only like midnight or something. We can still do stuff. Do we really have to go sit around for 6 hours, go to sleep? So I'm actually glad it happened in that sense.
Now all we need to do is have a situation where you guys meet up with Match, the love machine is full of nothing but garlic.
Yeah, man, he fucking loves it.
I got what you need! Byron just runs away.
Yeah, he'll do the willpower roll. He'll do the willpower roll, and then he will botch it. He will take lucky. He will botch it again, and he will go into frenzy. That's my call.
I'm betting the Match has, first of all, blush of health, and second of all, eat food. I could be wrong.
So yeah,
Just guessing.
Jermaine would certainly know that in his mortal life, he actually, he worked on the beach, he served as a lifeguard. Which is perhaps where his tan came from.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, someone, it was Jordan was talking about mistakes in character creation. I actually, if I had to redo it, I would probably get rid of the lucky thing, even though it's probably pretty useful. And I would probably get blush of health or something like that. It might fit better with Byron.
Well, you could have ended up using that for any of the failed rolls you've ended up making it. You'd have only used it one time over the course of the story.
I debated actually using it for the botched roll when I shot the vampire, but I just thought it was too good. I like that ending. So.
Well, you didn't know what ending I was going to come up with until until we'd finalized the fact that you botched.
It's true.
Yeah.
You could have ended up blowing off Tremane's body.
My entire body.
He's like, I broke my axe, and then said like,
He broke my axe for me.
Yep. Of course, if you hadn't taken him down, Marcus would have had an opportunity to shoot, but beyond that, it would have been Dante's turn.
Yeah, I was getting ready to be pulled into a clinch or something and then fucking shank him in the heart.
And he was ready to seriously lay the fucking smackdown on Jermaine. Let's see, he had expended what blood points he could, especially with the process of that, and he had 2 dots of potence.
Yeah? Would have been a tough fight. Or rather, it would have been a tough fight to get him incapacitated without killing him.
Yeah. I mean, with all the shotguns pointed at him there. Yeah, I mean, you guys severely outnumbered him. There's no way he was surviving that encounter.
Yeah. The trick was incapacitating him, which we failed.
Yeah, Byron, after he shot him and didn't kill him, if that ever happened, he was, I was debating. I don't think this would have worked, but it was just too funny in my head. I was going to try to dominate, and I was just going to say, sit down, is one word, or we kill you.
See, that's something that I was expecting was going to happen before, the whole situation of tell us what you know or I'm going to lop off your arm, and I was like,
Right.
I'll
I
play
mean,
with it.
here's the thing. Going into that, he had no idea that that Byron had dominate.
Of course not.
Yeah, it
So
makes
obviously
perfect sense.
his thought was to simultaneously incapacitate and interrogate.
Yeah, works.
Well, no, it didn't.
I see the logic behind it, and I agree with it, even though ultimately, now it's just the next time, Jermaine might just try to pin someone, so that,
No, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
He knows what everyone's capacities are. That's why he made a point of, asking around.
unfortunately, that was the guy with 4 willpower.
Yeah, I remembered that. I made him drop the axe, so it's going to be tougher next time.
If you guys encounter the big hard ass.
But yeah, the real reason that I took the discipline that I did is because since I can't really go around spending vitae, like for combat, I have to be good at both soaking damage and cold shots. Because there's just no other way that you can really make.
Of course, and you couldn't have a discipline that would require you to spend blood points, given your precarious situation.
Exactly. I couldn't abuse celerity. I couldn't boost my attributes. All that sort of stuff.
You can, you just, you don't get a whole lot of shots with it.
I really can't. Because then I'm out of the blood point that I needed to, have this month.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. If you had to get another one, and if it ever came back around to Byron, and then he had to give you another one, then he wanted to embrace you, that would be another one.
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, here's the thing. He will not work for one person for more than a month without a year or two between.
Yeah, that makes
He
sense.
will work for you guys for, at most, 3 months.
Right. But that's something to keep in mind for him too. I mean, two points of blood bond isn't horrible. 3 is pretty bad, but that'd be something you'd have to think about too if you wanted Byron to embrace him.
It would be worth it for him, because he would then have time to let it fade.
It is possible that Germain would consider extending his contract if the coterie could find another way to secure vampiric vitae. Perhaps it could have been done through this Dante Avant, were it not for the fact that Byron sent him to final death.
True that. Really, his contract requires the monetary payment and 1 point of vitae from which he does not yet have a blood bond. Doesn't matter from who, really.
Good to know.
And if the coterie can find a way to secure him a source of blood, then by all means, so long as he has his monetary considerations taken care of, I don't think he'd see a reason why not to keep working.
With, of course, the understanding that they can't give him blood from the same source twice. Also, upon finding out that you have Dominate, he would mention to you that if you used Dominate on him, that would be considered a termination of the contract.
Assuming that, the Dominant have failed.
Right, well, I'm just... He would make those terms clear, just so he understands. He wouldn't seek revenge for the first time, but it would end the contract.
Right, and Byron would reply, if I have to use Dominate on you, yes, the contract would be ended.
He wants to make that perfectly clear. No ambiguity.
Right, and I'm assuming that applies for everything, even what he did with the. Well, you probably know it because you were behind the van. You didn't see me scream into Rain's mind to drive.
No, I didn't. Otherwise, I would have totally let you take the lead with the interrogation.
Different universes, different outcomes.
Yeah, I try to keep my meta knowledge as separate as possible from my character's actions.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
And that's why I enforce and impose things such as, no, you ignored the call and you turned the phone off. You're like, wait,
Which
what?
I totally get.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's I always like input from the other players, but yeah, I did make that decision, so that's kind of final. Poor Evelyn. She's had a rough few weeks too.
To circumvent the knowledge that veteran players, especially veteran role players, end up having, what I end up doing is situations where I cut through the bullshit and, like, you have to make a decision, and whatever you end up declaring, we go with. I am flexible in other situations such as that, but otherwise we get into a situation where you're like, we could do this. Well, I don't know. And I'm like, you guys aren't even fucking there. You're all vampires. You just trust one another. What the fuck?
Yep.
Right.
And then there's some situations where, because we're experienced players, we have, sufficient paranoia to go over our plan, for hours at a time without actually doing anything.
And I don't have a problem with that, but it's why I nitpick over things to make sure, like, okay, you're doing this. You have this equipment. You have this weapon. Just
Right.
making sure.
Well, I mean, and that's why I try to take care to denote gear carried versus equipment owned on my character sheet.
Right. I just don't want to be in a situation where you guys are like, but Grimith, it would have been reasonable. And I'm like, the fuck, you never said anything.
But Grimith.
Ma'am.
But yeah, actually, with that Kevlar vest on, and his stamina, and his fortitude, I think that he would have had 7 points of soak against non-aggravated damage.
See, it's worth noting he was wearing a little bit of his armor, his reinforced clothing, but that kind of got fucked up by Joseph's shot, and then Byron shot him in the face anyway.
Yep.
Took his head off. Goddamn botches.
But yeah, I think that Kevlar vests add 2 points of soak against normal attacks and 4 points against bullets.
No, this doesn't deviate.
Oh.
Here in the 20th anniversary edition book, it just has a straight up armor rating of 3, and it has a dice pool penalty for all dice pools related to bodily coordination and agility, which is pretty much your dexterity-based dice pool. So by wearing the Kevlar vest, you actually end up losing a die pool from your firearm attacks.
I was actually thinking of Savage Worlds now. Now that I think about it.
Yeah. Reinforced clothing is the only armor you can wear which doesn't have a penalty to your dexterity dice pool.
Okay, so that would count against shooting as well. The block said most, and I wasn't sure which ones it didn't apply to.
Yeah. And you can, the primary advantage you get from targeting things is not to, like, completely sever off a limb, but to circumvent armor. So, for example, reinforced clothing, you can, while the torso and the legs might be protected, the arms wouldn't be. The same is true for an armor t-shirt.
Right. I was more asking for crippling a limb than taking it off the second time.
And I figured since the session had gone on so long, I didn't want to fucking think about it.
Oh no, I totally get that. I was just wondering if I could jack up his other arm and basically ruin his ability to put me in a clinch.
Then he'd just fucking, like, kick you. It's like, wow!
Hey, I mean, that's better than getting pulled into a clinch with a hungry vampire.
Well, he probably wouldn't. He wasn't determined to put you into a clinch. He was going to strike you.
Oh, okay. Honestly, that's still better than him having the option.
But with a damage basically strength related, and the fact that you don't get that halved, he had a lot of dice he could roll.
That's still better than getting that aggro bite.
No, he even frenzied. You just would have seen the fact that it had just been easier to lash out at you with his fist and of rage. Besides, the bite just would have taken too long to execute. He had no celerity.
I've got to say, I liked cutting his arm off.
I
Oh, it
thought
was
you might.
awesome.
I'm like, whatever.
I mean, regardless of how badly that turned out, that was a pretty badass moment.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, there have been a few times during our playing where out of character, I think the moment's awesome, like when Marcus backtalked that guy, the middleman, but I'm also head desking, so I'm like, oh man, really? I got to deal with this shit. It's a little bit of both.
Oh yeah. I mean, in character, he now is regretful of what he did, and in the future will definitely defer to Byron when it comes to like interrogations and stuff. But out of character, that was fucking sweet.
Certainly.
Hitting him with a car and then chopping his arm off, that was badass.
The pinning him with the car, I was pretty psyched about that. I'll tell you, and then getting out, I'll tell you, I don't care who you are. You're pinned by a car, even if you're a vampire, and some dude chops your frickin' arm off. That's kind of a moment.
A moment it certainly was.
Which, can then correspondingly understand why he whipped himself into a frenzy and flipped the car.
Oh yeah, totally.
It was a thing that happened.
It certainly was a thing.
And then he ended up getting his shit wrecked by someone who's barely competent with firearms.
Yeah. I mean, he can point a gun. He kind of knows how to aim it. But I don't think he even knows how to clean a gun with just 1 point in firearms.
That reminds me, I'm really glad that you guys, took the statement of I'm a mercenary, not an investigator, like really well. Like I was worried that you guys might be like, oh come on, that's bullshit. You're incompetent then. Because
Well,
I was.
we don't
What?
have any fighter. I mean, so any fighter is definitely it's a whole lot more than any of us had. So I don't know how we could say anything bad about it.
Well, I mean, Marcus is actually quite good at combat, I think.
Definitely. I mean, I don't think he's any David, but he's close. I would put him like they're 75% of that at least. Just from skills.
The biggest separation between Marcus and David is the fact that Marcus is 13th generation.
Right.
It's true. I mean, David is pretty good at combat, especially unarmed combat, like clinches and stuff like that. Whereas David is quite good with, like, actual weapons. I mean, whereas Marcus is quite good with actual weapons. The point is that he can buff himself up like crazy fast.
Right. Now, well, before you asked if we would think you're incompetent, were you referring to you or your character? Because I don't think
My
any of us
character.
would. Say again?
My character.
Oh no, I mean a mercenary is a mercenary. We're not gonna. I mean, only crazy people like Magnum PI or whatever are veteran detective type things. We figured, no man.
Right. I
mean,
actually had a sort of a little spiel prepared though, just in case, where he was going to say like, I'm not an investigator, I'm a gun. You point me at your enemies, you pull the trigger, and I go fuck them up.
No, I think that's what we all wanted, actually. That's what Byron wanted. I mean, he...
Yeah, no, totally. You guys do need a private investigator now, though.
You're like, I like how there was a moment in the session where it's like, Well, oh, our primary investigator, he's, well, shit.
I mean, that's why I made David.
Yeah, well, we'll get him back in a month or 3. So,
See, what you should have done, knowing what the party needed, was, you could have had a great combat guy who knew a lot about computers, and...
Yeah, nah. They were a mercenary. I made them a mercenary.
That did lead to a great situation where, both Jermaine and Byron are just, like, staring at this computer, like,
Oh, yeah. I think that Jermaine's even older than Byron is.
yeah, I think Byron is only a year or 2 older than Marcus even.
Well, Jermaine's actually the oldest person in the party.
Yeah, I figured.
For a moment there, when you were doing the whole computer thing, I was thinking of going, putting the marker on the other side first and saying, you guys probably should be, close to the screen to start off with.
That would have been hilarious, but a little bit too stupid.
Dude, plug in the computer first. Jeez.
But yeah, I mean, Jermaine's actually 65 years old.
Yeah, so 46 for Byron because he was born in 52.
Yeah, Jermaine was born in 1933 in Harlem.
Lovely. Sure, he had a wonderful childhood.
I allowed
Oh,
for
yeah,
a bit of
beautiful.
flexibility for, the ghoul's age, simply because of the fact that he's a ghoul.
And I totally would have changed it if you had pointed out that you wanted it changed.
But I was okay with it.
Right.
You better fucking change it, you goddamn pussy.
No, I think it's kind of cool though. Even if we're just neonates, I mean, he would be too if he were embraced. But yeah.
But yeah,
We could have had that as, couldn't we? There was, I believe, a merit where you could say that you were a ghoul at one point prior to becoming a
yeah, it's a
vampire.
cool merit.
Yeah, but it doesn't quite work the same as actually building a ghoul PC. It's
Right.
it just notes like a history of that. Memory serves, Sean actually wanted to take that for his character, and at the time I was like, no, that's gonna make things complicated.
If Jermaine actually got embraced, would he get that merit though?
I think it would make sense. I mean, I don't make the decision, but it's basically that you know the rules of vampire society and are able to fit in better or something like that. I don't have it in front of me, but it would make sense to me.
I'm just wondering. I mean, for that matter, would I be able to pick up the, vampiric condition specific merits? Like, would I have an opportunity to upon getting embraced?
You would not be allowed to spend any experience points to do so, no. After character
fine.
generation, all merits and flaws that pop up at the discretion of the storyteller, according to White Wolf.
It's fine with me. I was just wondering.
We'll cross the bridge if that ever happens. I don't think that's going to be anywhere near the future.
Nah. I mean, he doesn't even know that Byron is someone to start being courted, and even if he did, he would have to go to great lengths to liquidate all of the money for the bribe. That's way down the line, if it even happens.
Yeah, and right, since you are ugly as sin, I think you might actually need it. I'm just reading this, and it said you're at a -1 difficulty on all social roles when in the presence of other neonates, which is practically half this town, and a -1 difficulty on all roles relating to vampiric knowledge. So yeah, I don't know. Makes sense.
But yeah, if and when David wakes up, depending on whether or not he does decide to go into solitary for a while, Jermaine stands a very good chance of becoming an NPC.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Definitely. I mean, it's sad kind of that David got torpored and all, but I think you're definitely making the most of it. And I really like this character. I like what you've done with him.
Oh yeah, I wasn't actually really sad at all that David got torpored. I thought it was a really interesting twist of events.
Yeah, when you were talking on Skype, it looked like you're actually pretty excited to go another direction for a while.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I don't really get like attached to my characters per se. I want them to be interesting characters, but I don't necessarily. I feel like I get more attached to the concept of them creating interesting stories than I do to them succeeding. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I can totally relate. I have a similar view on it.
So
I mean,
yeah,
I want.
go ahead.
I was going to say, I want my characters to succeed, but I mean, if they're not going to succeed, I want them to fail gloriously. I mean, it's just kind of, make the most of their failure.
Such as when a botch commits final death upon a vampire you wanted to keep alive.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was Byron's turn for a botch.
I don't know about that. I certainly wouldn't sign up for a botch, but keep looking forward to that. I did say out of frustration, it's true. Like whenever one of these things pop up, I'm like, I can't do something stupid. I gotta fucking rack my brain here at the fucking end of the session. Let's come up with some shit. Like when David botched in the goddamn basement 2 of the records building, I'm like, fuck.
I kind of had a feeling that's what was going to happen, though.
And then he botched while trying to organize notes to like pick up 4 boxes of shit.
Yeah, that was special.
I'm like, welp, there's a 0% chance he got what he wanted.
Yeah, I mean, because of both the circumstances of David going into torpor and the effects of it, as we discussed what he'll have to deal with when he comes back to life, so to speak. There's a very good chance that he's going to want to go into relative isolation for a while in order to sort some things out.
Right, especially if he gets, I mean, who knows what the Grimith has planned for a derangement. He may have spoken to you about it already, but depending on that, he might want to go into seclusion as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, Aaron already has the derangement for David. It's just up to him on what he decides his character wishes to do with that.
Right.
As neurological sickness can exhibit itself in different ways.
Well, and I know the mechanical effect too, and with what his stats already are, this could prove to be incredibly debilitating and tragic.
You say that, and now I'm looking at the ghoul and what one of his flaws are, and I'm looking forward to a situation that might happen next session.
Yeah. That's
Sounds
the really
interesting.
exciting, interesting flaws.
All right.
Yeah, well, if we're seeing the sheriff, I'm waiting for one of my other flaws to come up. Mine are not so interesting as yours have been, yours or Marcus's, or even Joseph. He has some pretty cool ones. Mine are pretty vanilla.
You see pretty cool ones, and then we get on to top of the closed Hoffman law firm. It's like, motherfucker!
Yeah, well, I mean, cool as in interesting. I mean, mine are just 4 one-point flaws, but they do come up. So.
By the way, one of the things that, I mean, I'm sure that all of you caught on to the fact that David was very impressed with Carter Vanderweyden.
Yeah.
He might actually end up going to him to talk about getting mental disorders under control after this, and just self-control in general. If
That
he
would be
stays, that
interesting.
is.
Yeah, that would actually be really interesting from a story standpoint. I don't think Byron's going to be thrilled to death about one of his
Oh no, I'm
coterie
sure
mates.
not, especially
Yeah.
because of the fact that as it stands right now, Carter Vanderweyden is the one that if David had to support someone for Prince, he would support him for Prince.
Yeah, and I mentioned it. I don't know if this is no, this was after David was. No, I don't remember. But when Byron went to the middleman,
It was after David was put in torpor.
right, and I mean he learned that stuff about uh, the primary thing he learned at the middleman is that nobody outside of New York really knows who Valentine is. So while Valentine is very important in New York and a very dangerous person in New York, Byron isn't as scared of him as he was. I'll put it that way. Perhaps incorrectly. Who knows?
He also learned some things about Carter Vanderweyden there as well.
He did. Pretty much everyone thinks he's an all-around great guy. I mean, he does a lot of consultation on cases involving pro bono work, and and is generally in it for the little guy in a lot of these cases.
David was actually enormously impressed by his sense of justice.
Right. I actually have that underlined it in quotes. I mean, this is in my notes. I had pro bono work for, quote, injustice, end quote, on occasion. That's what I have written down.
See, absolutely. That's exactly what David really likes about him. And the fact that for a Malkavian, he's incredibly cool and in control, at least by the one occasion he's actually had to meet him.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Byron probably wouldn't bring this up, but for myself, I want to know where his crazy is at. I mean, as long as I know where a person's crazy is at, it's cool. It's the people that seem too normal that scare me, especially a Malkavian.
Yeah.
I mean, that's... Go ahead.
You three neonates are not familiar enough with, say, someone like Carter Vanderweyden to know what his madness is. Someone closer to him probably would know, and if you ever became a more prominent member of society, you would probably just be told simply through the concept of gossip.
Right.
Marcus is likely the closest one there, although his recognition sort of rests within the mortal community.
Yeah, I can see that now. Hey man, that guy's crazy because he's a vampire. Do you know why he's crazy, how he's crazy? He's like, wait, what? Who's crazy? You're talking about vampires.
You mean like Sparkles? No, that's an anachronism. That doesn't exist yet.
I don't even know if the
when there are
Underworld
fourth wall
movies exist
breakings
yet.
like that. Well, I mean, the Underworld movies are... So much modern vampire fiction is so heavily influenced by Vampire the Masquerade, not the other way around.
True.
But yeah, if David had ended up meeting his final death with a church bombing or something, and then for whatever reason Germain ceased to be, in play as a player character, I also know which direction I would go for a third player character. But I'm hoping it doesn't end up coming to that. Always have contingencies. Always.
I wasn't going to let David escape that easily.
Oh, that's fine. I prefer it that way. I'm just saying, I've got contingencies in mind.
Well, I've got contingencies in mind too. I told you that'd be the only character you'd be getting, so you better not fuck up.
Oh yeah, I know.
Well, come on. You don't want to let him have his city gangrel? I'd really like to see that.
That's not the contingency I'm thinking of.
Shucks.
No, it's too late for that. I'm not going to try and replicate David's skill set, but better. Come on.
I'm thinking it'll probably be, some other clan that might be significantly important to the setting, but has never gotten a chance at representation or focus thus far over the course of the story.
As
You
long as
mean
it's
like
not
a
a mage.
Tremere?
No!
Oh, well. It's 11 o'clock here. I got to head out. But it was a good session. Good. Now 8-hour session.
Is there
Yeah.
anything you three would like to say to YouTube before I stop the recording?
If you've gotten this far, why the fuck weren't you watching it on Jordan's Twitch channel?
I'll second that one.
Get fucked, everyone.